Good morning, Daybreak Watchers. We're going to get going in about 20 seconds here.
Overwhelming. I didn't know which direction to take, but Understood.org's resources helped guide me. Now I have the tools I need to keep us moving forward. Visit u.
Good morning!
Morning!
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is where Wisconsin wakes up. It's Daybreak with Brian Noonan and Jamie Martinson. Here are your hosts, Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is 6 minutes after 6 right now. We've already got people chiming in on our stream chat. Good morning, Alicia. She is up in the Fox Valley area. Good morning to you, Brian. How's it going today?
Good morning, Jamie. I am well. It is weather's been crazy. We had big storms yesterday. It's humidity. Now tomorrow it's supposed to, but it's it's good. I'm looking at. Thankfully, we didn't suffer a lot of damage. A lot of places
That's
around
good.
us, a lot of storm damage yesterday, so we made it through. But welcome to everybody. You're welcome to jump in, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Usually we try to start the show, a little light banter, but I wanted to bring this up today. There was another shooting yesterday. This one at a mosque in San Diego. 3 people were killed by 2 teenagers who then apparently took their own lives. It's just, and I don't want to go over the whole, I don't want to get into gun control. But what's funny to me is, and it I guess funny, unusual, it caused me to question, this has become so run-of-the-mill, like it didn't even make the rundown. Right. I was like, oh, we don't really have room to put it in anywhere, and what are we going to say? Oh, thoughts and prayers. Oh, wire assault weapons. Oh, access to guns. Blah, 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 blah. And I just thought it was a sad state of affairs that even a show like ours that focuses on current events is like, this happens so often. Is it even news anymore?
And that happens a lot, right? When we're planning a show, because we have had numerous shootings across the country over the last few months. And because this is such commonplace in this country, and by the way, talk to a friend who doesn't live in this country, in somewhere in Europe or even in Canada where their laws are a lot different. And they're like, how can you, if you've got a friend like that, how can you just go on and think that this is normal? Because
it is.
Because in those countries, it's not, right? So when they look at our news, they're just like, what is happening? How do you even fathom that this is normal, that people just do this? And it's sad because it doesn't even make major headlines in this country anymore because we're so used to these types of events happening.
Are you becoming immune to this? 855-75-CIVIC is our number, 855-752-4842. Be nice to Parker. He's drowsy, but you got to be nice to him to get to us. That's how it works. So call in, give Parker a little hidey-ho, and then tell
Or
him
yell at me and wake me up.
Wow. All right. Well, you have given now you have opened the floodgates. Good luck with that,
That's already on the phone. Let's see.
Good luck with that. It's so weird because like this one didn't even make the local papers, really.
No.
I was this morning, I was on the Journal Sentinel, Cap Times, the State Journal, and it's not like top of the page. You have to go to a national news organization. Mm-hmm. So that's weird. And this one was a little strange because, sometimes we blame the parents, and there was that case in Michigan where the parents were actually taken to court because they had been warned about their kid. Well, this one, a parent actually was the one who called the police and goes, listen, my kid is suicidal. They took my guns. They took my car. They're dressed in all camo. Their friend is with them, and the police were like, well, that doesn't sound like somebody who's going to harm themselves first. And so the whole thing is it's just awful, and there's no other words for it. I don't want to hear it today. Thoughts and prayers to me are the most worthless 3 words that are uttered by politicians and other people. It's just, shut up.
It doesn't mean anything.
Right. Are we doing anything? Are you going to do anything? If not, shut up and get out of the way.
Did you ever think you would become a person that didn't think about these things, or that when you saw, because that's what I always think about myself, right?
Yeah.
When I see these headlines, I always read them, I pause, I pay attention to them, but then I move on with life. And I never thought in a bazillion years that I would become the type of person who would be like, it's just another headline when we saw these things in the news. But it happens so often that I hate to admit that I've also become like that.
Well, think back to Columbine. That was like the first big one. There had been others, obviously, but that was a big one that was all over the news. And I can remember how I felt watching that. I remember exactly where I was. I was on the road in a hotel in Evansville, Indiana, and I was watching this all unfold. And it was heartbreaking. And Sandy Hook was the same way. And with each passing one, those feelings of grief got shorter, because they were followed so quickly by another one. And especially with what we do, we see that we have to talk about this stuff all the time. And how many things, what can you say? We're going to get into a whole gun control argument with people again? No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to blame the parents. Okay, maybe in some cases that's valid. In some cases it's not. We're going to talk about mental health care needing to be fixed in this country, obviously, but nothing happens.
It's all of those things, right? Like
Right.
It's literally all of those things. And where do you start in the conversation to actually have the conversation? Because it literally is every single one of the things that you just mentioned that we have problems with in this country and don't do a very good job of addressing in any way. And especially when you talk about the mental health care, we're looking at those rights and some of those things being stripped from people right now through insurances, which is the only way they're getting that care. Again, I don't want to get into a Second Amendment argument this morning. It's way too early for that.
It's too early,
honestly.
and what's the point? Because you can support the Second Amendment and still have questions and still set limits. 855-75-CIVIC. Are you starting to become desensitized? Cindy is in Appleton. Good morning, Cindy.
Well, unfortunately, I think we all are. But I think one of the values of the Republican Party now has become murder. I mean, just brutally, outright, we don't care if people get shot on the streets. That's become part of their family values because they choose to do nothing. And I think this might be a good time to think about bringing somebody from the Moms Demand Action in for a speaker, because the statistics that people don't even understand is I forget how many hundreds of people are shot in this country every day. It's astonishing.
It definitely is. Cindy, Frank is nervous now because you are, thank you for the call. Frank is nervous. You're starting to book the guests. That's good. Frank, take notes. Cindy wants your job.
It's a great suggestion, though.
It is a great suggestion, and it is. But, even that, I go, yes, that is a great suggestion. It's a worthwhile conversation to have. The frustrating part is we know nothing's going to happen. We are a country based in freedoms. The Second Amendment is one of our guaranteed rights, even though it's kind of convoluted to a lot of people. They don't quite understand what it was meant for, but that's not the conversation we're having. It's just the desensitization does bother me. Like you were saying, Jamie, it bothers you, or you question how it's affected you. It's affected me too. And it hit me yesterday as I helped putting the show together. I'm like, yeah, what are we going to say about it? It's horrible. Right. But it's probably going to happen again next week somewhere else.
Parker, I want to ask you, because you're all of 22. Yeah. You have grown up in an era where this is very commonplace. There's lots of kids your age, young adults your age, I should say, that have had to go through the school shooting drills. Brian, as a teacher, you've talked a little bit about this.
Horrible, yep.
So as somebody who's 22, what do you think? I mean, do you even pay attention to these headlines?
No, I really don't. It's been... I think the last one, and probably the only one, frankly, that I can really think of that I've had pause to was the ALCS shooting in Madison.
Sure.
And that's obviously just because that's so close to home.
Right?
Exactly. If it hits close to home, you're going to feel it more. You're going to pay more attention. Yeah. Maybe, God forbid, somebody who's involved with it. So it means a little more. This is, and it doesn't negate the 3 lives of the men who were killed. Or even the two kids, something was going on. But it's the other side of the country. We could take a second and go, that's terrible. And then we got other
But
things
even-
right here to worry about.
But even think about here in Madison when that shooting took place, it was major headlines for all of maybe 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And then that was it. We moved on with life, and there was obviously people right here in our own neighborhoods that were reeling from what happened that day. I was over at the scene that day. I was covering it that day. I got to witness the parents and the teachers, and I got to witness some of the students and folks who lived in the neighborhood. It shouldn't have been forgotten, and I think there should have been. And I'm
Well,
guilty.
everything-
I'm not blaming it on anybody. I'm just as guilty. But we didn't. I don't know if people got the support that they necessarily needed, unless it was happening internally. But again, we weren't paying enough attention to even know that was happening.
Right, because we're a 24-hour news cycle. We got to keep moving. There's always something new. There's always something coming down the pike that is more important. I was working in Milwaukee at the time of that shooting, and we talked about it when it was happening the next couple of days, and then there'd be a headline in the news reports, but as a topic on the show, it was like, okay, there comes a point there's nothing else you can say. There's nothing else you can do. And how many times do people want to hear from activists or psychiatrists? And it's important to bring those people on if something happens close. I'm not discounting any of this. I'm just saying it's amazing how easily we have taken something like school shootings or church shootings or just shootings in general and relegated them to the, of course there was a shooting today in Milwaukee or Madison or Chicago or New York. Of course there was a shooting. That's not news anymore.
I think the last one that really sticks out to me, and it was actually post moment, was the shooting that took place in the southern states in the Black church, and it was President Obama who broke out into amazing grace with tears running down his face, right? And I think that's the last one that I really sit and go, ooh. That was a bad one. And it wasn't even because of that moment necessarily, that particular moment in time. It was because of the president's reaction afterwards.
Whenever I
remember that.
Yeah, I'm with you because 9/11 was the same thing. Only I saw powerful men like generals and stuff choking up when they were talking about that was like, oh man, I knew it was bad.
Right.
But when these guys who have seen countless horrors in war, our cry, it's, oh man, we are in serious trouble. And that's how we should all be feeling every time one of these happens. But we don't. Kids going to school, people going to church, the places
people going to grocery stores. I mean, to the mall. I mean, these are
sitting in a movie theater.
These are things we should be allowed to just do in our everyday lives and feel safe and not feel like we're under some sort of threat or attack. And I know not everybody starts out their day like that. And I'm sure that's not even what was, in anybody's mind yesterday in San Diego. But at the same time, this is the reality that we live in, right?
Well, I don't know. Market Prairie Dusac texts in, and you can always jump in throughout the show. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. We now have a president who daily, often at all hours, speaks or posts hateful thoughts or threatens genocide against entire nations. Yeah, but he didn't start all this. There were these kind of events way before Trump. I mean, listen. I blame him for everything he deserves, but this one isn't on him.
This has been taking place for a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. Hey, let's clean things up and talk about how the EPA wants to limit PFAS or take away limits on PFAS. So that'll be good. It's Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson. 6:19 right now. This is the Civic Media Network.
Can you tell, since Frank said yes, ask her to hang on? We'll take the call right out of the break.
And then, Frank, do some research to see who her opponent is.
Yes. All right, let me grab her on the line real quick. We'll take her at the top of the block.
Yeah. And let's get her last name and what she's running for.
Yeah, it's funny because this is like one of the first major shootings we've talked about.
Yeah,
And there's been a lot.
And I was like, oh, I was like, where can I jam it in? I'm like, I don't know. Does it even? And
Does it? Yeah.
Like literally that question popped into me as we started the show.
No, it's great.
Like, oh, let's.
We can always roll. It's easy peasy.
Well, and people actually responded.
Well, this is, I mean, because I think this is a question because, I mean, it's a conversation I've had with people in my orbit.
Yeah.
Like, are we desensitized to this? Because it's awful. We have friends who, live on the East Coast. Their kids do active shooter drills and things.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's nothing I had to worry about when I was in school.
Right?
We just had stranger danger. We didn't have
we
stranger
had
danger who was well armed.
Tornado drills.
And tornado drills. Fire
That's
drills,
right.
tornado drills.
All right, there you go.
There's a lot of names there. Oh, those are her opponents. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
I'm not going to trust somebody who's running under 3 different names.
Wait, we have a debate happening. What is going on? I wasn't prepared for this
Parker.
morning with questions.
No, that's just me not knowing how to type sometimes.
You're good. You're good.
All right, we got 15 seconds till we're back.
From Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, this is Wisconsin's Morning Conversation. Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. It is 6:22. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Glad you're with us. As we tell you all the time, you can get involved. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. And we never know who is listening when we start talking about different things. And we were talking about how we've seemingly become desensitized to mass shootings like the one we saw yesterday in San Diego at the largest mosque in San Diego. 3 men dead. The 2 shooters also dead by their own hand. And we got a call from Ginger Maury, who is a candidate for U.S. House of Representatives here in Wisconsin in District 7. And she wanted to jump in and say something about this, so we welcome her. Hello, Ginger. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Brian and Jamie.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for talking about this.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll be brief, which is something politicians often aren't, but I'll be brief. This is like my number one reason for running for Congress is because I have 2 amazing, beautiful, intelligent daughters, ages 21 and 23, and neither one of them have any interest in having children. I very much associate this with them growing up in a world where schools are getting shot with, people who can take out a classroom faster than a teacher can dial 911. And to your point, thoughts and prayers don't change a thing. And even someone like Dr. Oz was just recently commenting on where we need to have a population of be reproducing at 2.1. We are currently at 1.5 because this next generation is not interested in bringing children into this world. And that's a really sad and scary place for all of us to be when young ladies are not wanting to have children. There's other reasons such as, not having affordable health care, not having affordable child care, not having fully funded schools and whatnot. But if you think about what you just said while I've been waiting here, when we grew up, we had tornado drills. Mm-hmm. These kids have active shooter drills. And my 21-year-old had a real threat. Thankfully, it was only a threat when she was in high school. And then also when she was at college, they had another lockdown because of an active threat or perceived threat. It ended up the person didn't have a gun. It just looked like a gun. But when I talked to her about it, she's like, Mom, it's not if I'm going to be involved in an active shooter, it's when. I mean,
it's a scary thought.
20-year-olds think.
Yeah, a lot, and it's unfortunate, as you said, Ginger. Most of us think that way. Now, you try not to. You don't want to dwell on it because you do have to leave the house. But it's now. What about the desensitization thing? Do you agree with that, with my point there?
I absolutely agree with that for the folks that it didn't impact.
Sure.
We get desensitized to it, but the children who are growing up having to do active shooter drills, there is a real world consequence for that.
Sure.
So we as adults are like, oh, in how many schools will it be tomorrow? And we move on. And we see that nobody's doing anything about it. But I believe a new day is coming, not in some sort of strange way, but we have not had power as Democrats in a really long time. And I think in Wisconsin, that's absolutely predictably going to happen. And I think that moms demand action are going to be heard, just starting with those red flag legislation.
Yeah.
I hear you on the need for mental health. I grew up in a house where my dad's a counselor, my brother's a psychologist. I studied behavioral science. I talk more than I listen, so I'm a lawyer. But, I know that
we're not getting that at all, Ginger.
Thanks. But it's one thing to acknowledge that we're desensitized. It's another thing to let it continue.
Yeah.
You can't let this continue. We can't let. It's the
so
whole
which
thing
do
because
we
we're
try
all
to
doing
stop
it to our
first, the
environment.
desensitization or the shootings? We're
The shooting.
you know
You have to stop the shooting. You have to stop the shooting.
yes, that we wouldn't have
That's
anything to
it.
be desensitized to.
And I think we talk about our kids so often and how this affects them. But I think, too, even as adults, we've seen shootings in nightclubs. As we alluded to last segment, we've seen shootings in movie theaters, in grocery stores, people just trying to live their lives, go to church, go shopping, whatever it might be. And I think even as adults, I think sometimes I know we don't handle it well either, even though we focus on our kids so often.
Right. I think the only change that I've had as an adult is when I walk into a place, I look at the exits. I don't think I think about being shot when I walk into a mall or a grocery store. I think kids who walk into a classroom do.
Yeah.
I think
Probably.
that's different.
Well, Ginger, we appreciate the call this morning. Thanks, and we'll look forward to talking to you again.
And I heard you when we were on, or when we were waiting about, with Chris and Fred. We love a good debate. You should invite us.
All right. Yes, we will. We're gonna reach out, see what they want to say. But
absolutely.
yes, Ginger Maury is running for U.S. House of Reps for District 7. So thank you for the call. Thank you for listening. It's always good to know people in power are listening. We like that.
That's right. That's right. This is a long conversation that you could have over and over again. I guess at this point, what do you say? You keep the
Nothing.
people. You don't say anything, and I think in the back of my mind, I always think about the folks who have lost people or who this morning are now traumatized by what happened yesterday. Again, the thought process, because of how desensitized we've become, is pretty short, but it does stay in my mind for a little while before the news cycle hits us and we move on.
Well,
right?
and Ginger kind of alluded to this, and we got to go, but it also triggers all the people who have survived these in the past.
Yeah.
Because now it's just, man, ours wasn't the last one. This is not going to go well. When we come back after the news, oh my gosh, Tom Tiffany, we talked about him yesterday saying he didn't say something and then finding out he did. Well, we got him again. We'll do that and more. It's Daybreak. This is the Civic Media Network.
All right.
Yeah, we got him again. Probably not going to make him want to come on the show, but hey, maybe he shouldn't lie.
Or quit saying things that, he does the exact opposite. But again, I think this is the conversation we're about to have, I think is kind of like the gun conversation. Mm-hmm. It's a broader picture of something much different, right?
Right.
So,
well, we did a thing last week because he said he hadn't voted against. He was up. I think it was in La Crosse or something.
Mm-hmm.
People were protesting, and he was like, "I just wish they knew what they were protesting about. I never voted against cuts in Medicaid." And then we pulled his vote.
Yes, he
did. Yes, you did. Yes,
yes,
you did. Here's the thing. Here's the receipts, Tom.
Derek Van Orden did the same thing.
DVO.
He also said that he had not voted against something, and turns out that he did.
Yeah.
Was that the Medicaid or the farm thing?
Take your pick. I don't
Yeah,
remember which one it was. It was maybe both. I don't know.
Speaking of that, I pulled
together too. It might have been the same thing.
I pulled a couple stories this morning, both farm related. So maybe we want to, if either Pam or somebody else who can talk to them, know, speak on those, because I am not qualified to speak on farm issues.
Yeah, me neither.
I can identify a farm. Oh, look, there's a farm.
When I did radio in South Dakota, all of the listeners always thought it was hilarious because I grew up in South Dakota, but I knew nothing about farming. So they would call and they, because it was an all request show on Friday nights, and they'd be like,
they were requesting farms? They'd
be like, I'm in my combine, and do you know what that is? Okay, yeah, I'm not a complete moron. Thanks.
No. I was lucky with having both Orion Samuelson and Max Armstrong. If I would start talking about some farm-related thing and I was off on either one of them would call and go, all right, well, let us educate you. I said, thank goodness. Yes, please.
Please do.
Because I admitted at the beginning I don't know much about this. So, yes, you know everything about this. So, please, tell us.
And then in high school, my high school boyfriend's family raised pigs. So I periodically got to go out to the barn. I've been taken out by a giant pig before, so that's a fun story. His mom was in the hospital. We were told we had to load the pigs onto the truck, and so it was a pig that was much bigger than me. She did not want to go up the ramp, and she made sure I knew it, and I wasn't also very tall then, big surprise, and she tried to go through my legs, and it did not go well for me. She was fine. I'm pretty sure she laughed and smiled on her way back into her pen, but
yeah, because they're just waiting for people to fall in the pen so they can eat them.
Right?
Don't laugh, Parker. That's how they used to dispose of bodies.
Yes.
The pigs.
Have you ever watched Criminal Minds?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. There's an episode where that's how the dude was disposing of people.
Well, in the whole series of Deadwood, they would just they'd take them over to Woo's.
Pigs will eat anything.
Give them to the pigs.
I was watching Euphoria the other night because I kind of feel
All
like
right.
you have
Not
to.
what I was expecting.
Kind of
me
feel
either.
like you
I'm
have
okay.
to, right?
No.
And there was I don't want to give too much away because it's a new season, but there was a moment where I was like, we're bringing back the pigs. All right,
Did they
that's
feed
old
Sydney
school.
Sweeney to the pigs?
Well, they should.
After her. She's an OnlyFans model this season, right? That's
Yes.
I don't watch the show. I've never seen the show, but it's been all over.
Her character is just abysmal.
You got that fact.
I don't have
I
much.
do know that fact.
I don't really care about Sydney Sweeney one way or the other. Her character on that show is absolutely an abysmal person.
I never in a billion years would have guessed that you, of all people, watched Euphoria. I went upstairs yesterday. Allison was watching the new episode, and I finally broke and said, "What the hell is even this about?" She goes, "I don't know at this point,
really
but
know.
I'm
No,
too far in."
Yeah, this is That's exactly how I feel.
Is this the second or third season?
This is the third and final.
Third and final.
Thank God.
This
For everyone involved.
Zendaya's in it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's brilliant in it. The show that I'm really sad is going away, but I totally understand, is Hacks. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I hear that's good.
10 seconds to her back.
Want to join in on the conversation? Call or text 855-75-CIVIC. Now back to Brian and Jamie.
6:35 right now. We hope that you are having a great morning. If you're listening in Appleton and Oshkosh, bright and early on WISS, or in Wausau on WXCO, or in Wisconsin Rapids on WFHR, we're glad that you decided to join us. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Glad you're here. Do you think politicians believe that you're stupid? or that none of us have the internet, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. And you could make this about any politician, really. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle, any politician. This morning's target is Tom Tiffany. You know Tom Tiffany.
Maybe they think we're desensitized to them not telling the truth, too. Maybe
that'll never it's funny. That doesn't desensitize me. That
right.
As
infuriates,
sad and angry as I get about the shootings, I get incensed when people when you think we're dumb and you lie to us straight up when we have, as the kids like to call them, Jamie. I used to call them the truth, but now we have receipts.
We do have receipts.
Parker, is that a good use of that? I see you laughing. I'm trying to be hip with the kids.
You're being hip with the kids, Brian.
I'm trying to be a groovy cat daddy.
The internet lives forever. That's what our current politicians need to remember. It lives forever.
Well, somebody in the Tiffany campaign needs to remind him of that, because Tom, of course, is running for governor in the state of Wisconsin. He's facing criticisms over conflicting positions on the war in Iran. Now, on May 14th, which was what? Less than a week ago?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the calendar. I know what day it is, but I'm just making sure I'm correct. May 14th, during an interview on the Dryden Wire podcast. Oh, top tier. I don't even know what that is. But he said it's time to wrap things up when talking about the war. He did. He said this.
My position is it's time to wrap up the war. We have degraded Iran's nuclear and military capability. Most of their ships are in the bottom of the sea. And we've largely degraded their nuclear capability. It's time to wrap things up and come back home.
Okay, that sounds good. Very strong stance on there, emphasizing the troops.
I can't disagree with that. I can totally see what he's saying and agree
Jamie,
with that statement.
Yes, you might agree with it, but what happened later that day?
Well, later that day, our representative from this great state voted against a House resolution that would have actually required the president to withdraw forces from Iran without congressional authorization.
Now, that withdraw forces from Iran kind of means the same as bringing the troops home. Would that be correct? Okay.
That would be correct, yes.
All right. And without congressional authorization, he is a sitting member of Congress, right?
Yes, he is. Why he runs for governor of the great state of Wisconsin. Yes.
Okay. And again, this was the same day?
Yes, it was within just a few hours apart from the comments he made on the Dryden podcast to when he actually cast his vote. Now, this particular resolution argued that Congress has not formally declared any sort of war or even approved military action against Iran. And, of course, Representative Tiffany's vote aligns with Republican support for maintaining presidential authority over the military decisions. There were only 3 Republicans, by the way, that broke ranks to support that resolution. 1 Democrat voted no due to some sort of technical issue with the timeline. But, I mean, is this where we're at? Is this the type of hypocrisy in our politics?
Yes.
Where they just downright lie to us so we feel better, and then, like, we can't go actually check their votes, or it's not going to be reported or linked together at some point?
And they realize, I know Tom Tiffany is an older gentleman, but he knows a podcast is recorded, correct?
I would hope
he's
so.
not just talking to this one guy in a room.
I would hope somebody on his team
off the
informed
record,
him of that.
Once there's a microphone around you, we can check.
Yes.
And it doesn't, but it's the brazenness of this. And this case is Tom Tiffany. We've got a million examples of everybody else. So, we still invite Tom Tiffany to come on the show.
Sure.
We had another Republican candidate for governor on yesterday. We'd love to talk to Tom Tiffany.
Sure.
But let's not pretend that this is not just a bald-faced lie.
What I love about this is when called out on this particular maneuver by Tiffany, we'll call it, he responded to that criticism by saying that Americans can want the war to wind down without limiting the president's role as commander-in-chief.
But
that was his defense.
Specifically his job. Congress's job is to provide checks and balances. Checks means you put a stop to things, you slow things down, you halt things. I'll give you all the synonyms if you need it, Tom Tiffany and the rest of the Congress. If you don't know what it means to provide checks and balances on a president who went to war and is using loopholes to continue a war without having to check with anybody else, without having to get congressional approval, without having to justify it to the American people, without anything. He keeps using a little loophole, and if you're okay with that, that might be, but the rest of us are not.
And by the way, let's again, just in case, you haven't heard or seen his newest TV commercials, Tom Tiffany is running for governor of this state where, according to the latest polling, his potential constituents, and even ones he represents now through as a representative in Congress, 61% of Wisconsin voters do not approve of this war. That includes 73% of independents opposing this war. Independents, a group that this man is probably going to need if he thinks that he might win the governorship of the state of Wisconsin in a few more months.
Well,
listen. Again, technicalities and details, but you are literally voting against the interests of the people you represent, because here in Wisconsin and like numerous states, we're not alone. Gas prices rising, everything is up. People are starting to feel the squeeze. And so then you have a representative who votes against this resolution that would have basically pulled U.S. forces back until Congress officially approved the war. And I think that's where we have to start questioning our representatives, because this isn't just about this one vote. This is about a pattern. We've heard a lot. We heard a lot just over the past weekend at the Republican State Convention about party unity, getting everyone on the same page.
Well, they are all on the same page.
Rallying behind the party, and that's fine because every party wants unity. But my concern is, does unity mean standing by your beliefs or standing by your party no matter what? Absolutely no matter what, even if it isn't in the best interest of the people you represent.
Well, the answer to your question is obvious. We're seeing it every day. It's blind loyalty to the party and blind acquiescence to a man who changes his mind constantly. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Oh, we were going to attack on Tuesday and blow them all out of the water, but now I'm not going to attack on Tuesday, and maybe I'll do this, and and the Republicans in Congress just say, okay.
Tyler in Wisconsin Rapids chiming in on the text line. He says, send up the bat signal. Two-Face Tiffany is back in town. If you want to chime in this morning, 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC. Now, let's also remember that Tom Tiffany has officially been endorsed by this president. He is officially endorsed as the next governor of Wisconsin by Donald Trump. So that endorsement is going to carry a lot of weight over the next few months in how Tom Tiffany decides to vote when he is still representing the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's not going to vote against the president now.
He only got that endorsement because he always voted with the president beforehand. Right. So it's not,
But
it's not like all of a sudden he has to go, well, I better watch my P's and Q's and
But it's going to be a form of placating now, because even though he always voted with this president, he's going to say things that are going to contradict the president. But when it comes down to the actual votes, when he is in the room doing his job, he is always going to do what is in the best interest of the president and not so much the American people or the people here in Wisconsin.
It goes back to the original question. Do they all think we're stupid? Because that's fine. If that's how you're going to be, then have the guts to be that person everywhere. Don't say one thing over here and then talk out of the other side of your mouth. If you've sold your soul to Donald Trump, then sell your soul everywhere you go. Don't go on a podcast and say, well, I wanted to end. It's time to wrap it up. Time to wrap it up is not being unhappy with it, as his weird spin justification made it out to be.
Right.
When you say it's time to wrap it up, as a sitting member of Congress, that is tantamount to a vote. That's how you should be voting. If that's how you feel, that's how your constituents feel, that's how you should vote. So man up. Be the person that you're going to be.
Right.
Live up to the endorsement of your dear, fearless, tangerine-colored leader, and just do it. But don't treat us like we're idiots. Listen, I always say there are a lot of stupid people, but and I'll stand by that. But I also even stupid people can suss out a lie.
Yeah.
And when you're being disingenuous and hypocritical and flat out bald-faced lying, we know you're not fooling us.
And I think, too, I mean, I look at it simply from the stance of that Marquette poll that I cited just a couple of minutes ago. If you're a strong Republican voter, this probably doesn't bother you. If you trust the party, you're going to trust Tom Tiffany's decision. But the independence is where I keep going back to, or even somebody who's just in the middle, because in Wisconsin elections, obviously we know that those middle of the road, those independent voters can sway things one way or the other. And so I guess the question for them, if you're listening this morning, how do you trust the decisions that this man would make at the state level if he's willing to make these type of compromises in the U.S. House of Representatives? Do you want a governor who is also going to say one thing but votes another when pressure comes from party leadership? I mean, don't we want, I guess for me, I want somebody who's willing to, as you're stating, Brian, break ranks and, make their own decisions, not necessarily just go along with party lines every single time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm asking for way too much. Am I asking for way too much?
We should ask for a lot from our elected representatives, and yet we ask, they don't give in, and it's just another reason, and I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you to vote.
Right.
I don't care who you vote for. I do, but I'm also not arrogant enough to think that I'm going to change your mind.
Right.
But whatever is going on, the midterm is important. The primaries are important. You have to vote because we're seeing the play out all over the country with this gerrymandering. They think that people will be silenced. Voters, even in a gerrymandered district, you can still vote people in that they didn't plan on. So get out there and do it. And I know we're going to be banging on this drum for forever, probably, but at least through November, because then in November we'll either be partying for a couple days to celebrate or drowning our sorrows.
But that's the thing. I think when it comes to this gerrymandering, I'm not sure that going against the will of the voters is the best bet for some of these states. And that's essentially what some of the states are doing. Right. The states that are trying to gerrymander have been told by their own voters that is not what they want. They want fairer maps. They don't want redistricting. They want to keep things the way they are, whatever it is.
Jamie.
So I'm not sure going against the will of your own voters actually works in your favor.
Jamie, when are you going to learn? Voters don't know what's best for them. We will tell them what's best for them.
That's right.
We will also tell people what's best for small birds. I lost my place for a minute. Yeah, well, listen, it's all right. It's early. It's Daybreak. This is the Civic Media Network. Couldn't remember what kind of birds they were.
I mean, fair. I kept worried you were just going to sit there and go,
I would have jumped in.
No, we got it.
I always give you like a second or two, and then I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No,
it's good.
It's coming. It comes from all fired up, and then it's like, oh, no, all right.
We gotta,
sometimes shifting gears, the clutch sticks for a second.
About something happy.
Yeah. Sometimes I need more transmission fluid.
Alicia, over on YouTube, it was asking for prior to our last break, wasn't it that pigs will eat everything but teeth and hair? I'm pretty sure they'll eat just about anything, but I don't know for sure.
I haven't done enough research into how to dispose of a body.
No, I haven't done that recently.
You should look that up on your work account, Brian.
I should do that more. I'll say it was for a segment.
I don't know. Somebody was pulling Dryerland. They were having their dryer vents cleaned out yesterday when I was walking Aspen. Ooh. And they had like all that stuff that comes out of them. And she was going to pick it up. And I'm like, what are you doing? No.
That's a pretty cool process when you see how much is actually in there.
We had when we moved into our current house, even though it's a lease, there'd been plenty of animals that have lived in the house. In fact, I probably pulled out a small dead one from underneath the refrigerator. It was disgusting. And every time I'd walk in the house with my allergies, I would be instantly stuffed up, and I couldn't, my eyes would water. And so we actually had somebody come over and do all of the vents in the entire house, the entire duct system. And and the guy called me afterwards and he's like, "Oh, that was a great call. This was pretty bad." Yeah. I didn't need you to actually tell me that. I felt it every time I walked in the house.
Well, he's also not going to call and go, yeah, that was a waste of money.
No, he even took pictures and showed us what he pulled out. It was awful.
Well, people don't think about it.
I knew how bad it was going to be literally because, I was cleaning out the fridge before we moved in, and I took off that kick plate down on the bottom and everything. And I started cleaning and I was just pulling stuff out. And I was like, oh my God.
Gross.
And then I started it got so bad. I was so overwhelmed by it. I actually started crying because I was like, oh my God, what is living under this refrigerator? Because I was down on the floor for an hour, I think, just pulling stuff out from underneath of it. And I was like, this is the most disgusting thing. And then it's one of those things where you regret your decisions really quickly. Because I was like, I could have not cared and just left it.
Yeah, what you don't know won't hurt you.
Right? Oh.
10 seconds, store back.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
It's 6:52 right now. Very good choice of music this morning, Parker. That's a great one for this next song.
Resetting
Our next story,
the mood.
I should say. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Every time I see a bird story now, I have to pull it because we know Jamie's love for birds, especially birds right here in Wisconsin. So on May 18th, Greg Septon of Muskego added a high-tech device to some of the falcon chicks that he has cared for, and that is not a euphemism. Since 1896, since 1896, Greg is now 300 years old. Since 1986, he has banded about 1,500 falcon chicks as the founder of the Wisconsin Peregrine Falcon Recovery Project. The 3 downy peregrines he handled May 18th at the We Energies power plant in Oak Creek also received a Blue Morpho transmitter. This device, which is about, it's very fancy. It's only about 3/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch because, falcon chicks are not huge.
No.
Not like our Russian stork from yesterday.
That's right.
It weighs less than 1/10 of an ounce. It's solar powered and designed to connect with cell phones and wildlife monitoring experts. Jamie, this would be lovely for you because then you would know where all the birds were.
I would
and
know
you
where
could
all the
avoid
birds
them at
were.
all costs.
I
You
would
could just
absolutely.
flee.
Now,
There's
I think this is absolutely
It's
really
very
cool,
cool.
though, because I do love science, even though birds are not my favorite. But peregrine falcons were nearly wiped out by extinction a few years ago because of pesticides. So by the 1970s, they were basically gone from the state. And then you've got people like Greg who are doing some really great work to try to build back that population. And I think this is actually a really cool thing. Now, again, I don't need to get that close to the birds to appreciate the work that he's doing.
Would you
So
like a
kudos
peregrine
to him.
falcon to come into the studio?
No.
We
I
could
think
feed
I
it
would-
Cheerios
Oh,
or mice.
We could just leave it over here.
Yeah, I would
That
love
would
to
be
sit in
great.
there like a pirate with a falcon on my
That would-
shoulder.
That would
Like
be
I'm
great.
some,
Can you imagine
I'm a
I've got
midi.
As long as it's with Parker the entire time.
And then I could actually take a break in a segment and the falcon could handle it.
There you go. It's funny you say that because yesterday when I was walking the dog, there was a lady sitting out on her porch, and I happened to look over at her, and she had 2 parrots, one sitting on her finger and one sitting on her shoulder.
Wow.
I'm not even joking.
She was your
and
nightmares come to life.
She was. And I was like, you are not my spirit human because we cannot be friends. Especially if you're going to pull your birds out.
Come
while I'm
here, my
around.
pretty.
Yeah, nope. not happening. But I can appreciate this because for about the last 4 decades too, Septon has attached aluminum leg bands to roughly 3-week-old chicks in Oak Creek, and the legs are sufficiently, in case anybody's wondering, developed at that age to accept this type of permanent band. And what is cool about this is, this is a technological leap as far as the wildlife world goes, because these birds were also fitted with a tiny black box of the blue morpho transmitter. So Septon crimped this device to a flange on the leg band and then added a little bit of super glue for good measure, and so that these bands stay on and he can do some tracking and figure out where these chicks actually end up in life, which is really cool.
And the beauty of this is it's so tiny and so light, as opposed to the old ones, the black boxes. You would see pictures of like a bear or something with this big heavy thing around their neck, or a deer. You go, oh, that's got to be a nightmare. But this is so tiny that it doesn't weigh anything, and that's it's one of the most important parts of animal science and wildlife science, and being able to know where these go. And for Jamie, it's just survival, just day-to-day survival.
It is, absolutely. Oh, as long as we're talking about birds,
yes,
I do
always.
have an update.
Yes.
My fuzzy head. So I went out yesterday afternoon, and the nest has been vacated. All 7 eggs are empty, though.
Oh, good.
So I am going to hope and they've been cracked open. They're still there. I left everything undisturbed.
Okay.
So I am hoping that means there are 7 fuzzy heads waddling around somewhere in this world behind their mama, and are doing very, very well. I figured that by the time we got home, just based on how much she was on the nest, that I was not going to be there when they hatched, but I was excited to see that all 7 eggs were empty indeed, and there were remnants of little ducklings from the nest.
How close do you live to like a water source where you could like
Very
go look
close.
and can you walk over there and see them?
I can. We live by 2 or 3 different ponds in our neighborhood,
okay.
So that might be the ventures later today when I finally am able to leave downtown. So
see if you find them, take a picture, put it on one of our new
Absolutely.
social media pages, which you can check out on Facebook and Instagram, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie, when you're not downloading the podcast on Spotify, also under the same name, or listening to us on the free Civic Media app. There we got them all in.
That's right. But I was very excited yesterday to see
great.
that the eggs were all indeed empty, because I'm not as talented as Greg Septon up in Muskego, but this is like my own little social science experiment that I've been conducting with the ducks in our front yard.
Now we demand that you go and look at the local waterways and see if you can find them, because I'm guessing there's not going to be a ton of different families of ducklings.
No,
like you're not going to go, oh, I wonder if those were the ones under my bush.
And I don't know when ducks start to fly. Like, I don't know when baby ducks start to fly, so I can't imagine that they were able to get too far yet, because they'd only be about a week or so old. So I can't imagine they were able to get too far too quickly.
I'm surprised they're able to waddle off that quick.
I don't know much about baby ducks, so I don't
we
know.
We need a duck expert.
I know,
Frank,
we do.
Frank, we need a duck expert. He's like, I'm trying to book senators and Congress people and
you guys
gubernatorial
want a duck
candidates.
expert.
Yeah, get us a duck expert. We don't care. Listen, all
I'd
this
be
craziness. Mr. Highfalutin.
You got to know about your enemy too. So if I know about my enemies in life and I study about birds, then maybe they won't be so terrified.
I'm telling you, I would love us to do a show with some big birds on our shoulders.
You all have a stuffed one. Alicia over on our YouTube chat says, the day the Falcon comes to the studio is the day that Jamie works remotely. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Falconry is fascinating.
It
that
is
they get these
fascinating.
birds to fly off and come back and they land right on your arm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Frank,
I don't want them to
falcons.
land on me.
Live falcons. Well, Jamie, you missed the other turn that the show was taking. We'll tell you in the show within a show, because right now we have to move along. Stuff you need to know is next. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It is 6:59 right now. You're listening to the Civic Media Network. It's such a soothing song. It's going to lull me to sleep.
Yeah, I wasn't positive about
It's
it.
a good
It was
song.
nice.
No, I love
It's very
I love
nice.
Blackbird by the Beatles.
It's very nice.
Wish it was a little more upbeat.
I love that song until it's got the weird chirping of the blackbirds in it. Like we could have done without the weird squawking in that song.
I wonder why you think that.
Right? It's very strange. It's very strange.
Wasn't Big Bird supposed to be on Challenger?
Like riding it or riding in it?
Yeah.
Let's do some
You know Big
investigative
Bird's not
work.
real, right?
What are you talking about, Brian?
I actually met Big Bird. We went to, there's a Sesame Street amusement park outside of Washington, D.C., Sesame Place.
You are absolutely correct, and I don't know why you knew this.
Because I went there.
Not you.
No, I'm right.
Oh, Parker.
So before selecting, this is hilarious. It's not hilarious because of how it ended, but before they selected Krista McCullough for the Teacher in Space project, NASA actually considered sending Big Bird and his puppeteer into space on the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Wow, that was the worst trade since Buddy Holly and Richie Valens.
Challenger was bad enough. Can you imagine if kids in school would have been watching that day
No.
and Big Bird would have died on the Challenger?
It'd be like if Santa got blown up.
Right?
What would Sesame Street have had to do?
I don't know.
Oh, my God. That would have been worse
Can
than
you
when,
imagine? Like
when
Challenger,
Gordon died or Mr. Hooper.
Challenger was bad enough as it is, but I can't
Yeah,
imagine
Challenger
if,
was, oh, God.
And
I was
how many-
already an adult, thank goodness. I wasn't watching it in class like school kids around the country.
Right? I was just going to say, I was like in 4th grade. I can't imagine if I would have been watching it because I grew up on Sesame Street. If I would have known Big Bird was on it, it was scary enough.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have
That would have been really bad.
Right. And I should have said the Big Bopper in Richie Valens, not Buddy Holly, because Buddy Holly was on the plane.
Yes. That's how we got the song American Pie, Parker.
Ah.
The 8-minute trilogy.
That's true.
I'm telling you, when you work in oldies radio, an 8-minute song or Hey Jude coming in at 6.5 was like the best thing ever. Because you were used to working with like 2-minute songs.
Yeah, so you need to keep flying all
in
the time.
8 and 6 minutes, that was like an eternity.
That's a
I could
bathroom
warm
song.
up. That's right. I could warm up
The
breakfast.
Loadout from Jackson Brown was another one.
Yes.
If you
I could
worked
get
rock, it was
so much
Freebird.
done. Yes. And Agata DeVita was also that was a requested
Wow.
one. So once in a while we'd
I was
slip
going to
that
say,
in.
where did you work that you were playing Inagata DeVita?
It was requested and it had to be very selective. But there were some nights that we would get, because there were some nights when I did nights when I was in college, I'd field like 150, 200 calls. And so Little Willie by Sweet was a big one.
Oh, God.
And then Inagata DeVita was a big one. And so sometimes I would just bank a bunch of those calls, edit them all together, and then hit the post with it of different people requesting it. But I only played Inagata DeVita about once every 6 to 8 months because you needed like special timing and everything for that one. But Little Willie by Sweet was like my nemesis. I still hate that song.
So you're saying I shouldn't use it as folk music, as I literally have it up right now.
I'm a little more immune to it now.
Lynn says you can read up on it, but I believe once the ducklings leave the nest, they
Yes.
never return. They're safer to move around and eat than stay in place as a fox gift.
That would make
gift
sense.
bag. It does make sense.
I understand that.
I was trying to find when they start to fly, but I got distracted by.
I wonder if they nest, like if now that you have a nest there, if that will be a nesting spot
I don't know.
year after year or.
Oh, yes. Roger from Stevens Point. Papa was a Rolling Stone over 7 minutes. Yes. Periodically that came up. I loved it when I did morning radio, I loved it when those songs came up, especially because my show at that time, because it was farming community, started at 4:30 because the farmers were already up. So I loved it when those songs came on at like 4:30 and 5 in the morning because it was like nap time.
Ducks fly between 7 and 10 weeks.
Okay, so they're still waddling around somewhere
for a while.
So they're just waddling for a while.
And they're little. They can't move. They can't go too far.
Right.
I don't know if they're in constant motion.
But yeah, we have a pond probably about a half a block from our house, and then down that sidewalk probably about a half a block from the other one. So there's a couple different places she could have them. I'll have to take a walk over there today.
Yes, you have to go and find them.
I'm sure they were adorable. There was a part of me that knew they were going to be gone, but I was just a little bummed because I would have loved to be home when they like waddled out of the nest and like moved. But
yeah,
because I think baby ducks are just the funniest, cutest things ever. I feel a little bit like my spirit animal. They don't have much coordination. They kind of waddle around. Like, I get it. They don't move very fast.
It's so ironic.
They probably have a hard time climbing on really tall stools, I'm guessing. That and polar bears, baby polar bears just emerging from the water.
Oh.
I also feel that as a spirit animal.
10 seconds.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
7:06 right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Very nicely done, Parker. Papa was a Rolling Stone. If you were listening to the show within the show, Brian, we were talking about...
I was not.
We were talking about music radio and songs that were really nice if you did oldies radio, because most songs in oldies radio were so darn short.
Yes.
You needed a few of those 8 minutes. Papa was a Rolling Stone, Hey Jude, American Pie. That felt like a vacation when those would come on.
Yeah, those were the ones where you could schedule your bathroom break.
That's right.
All right.
You could do numerous things because you learn to work very quickly and efficiently with only 1.5 to 2 minute songs. And when you got a nice 7-minute song in there, that was a luxury. You could do a lot of things. You fit in good stuff.
Yes, we definitely do. Well, it is Daybreak. It's 7:07, and that means you're getting ready for work or school or getting the kids off to work, and you're thinking, oh, there's got to be some more stuff I need to know. Well, you're in luck.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Yes, it is time for stuff you need to know. I was reading one of our texts when I should be paying more attention.
I was
All
too.
right.
I was doing the same thing.
That's the text line. We're glad you're texting in at 855-752-CIVIC. No, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. I don't even know if that's what I said. Listen, it's time to give a little stuff you need to know. Hey, the president was talking again. He said he's holding off on a military strike on Iran planned for today because, quote unquote, serious negotiations are underway to end the war. Stop. Trump made the announcement in a social media post on Monday. Of course he did, after threatening over the weekend that time was running out for Iran to strike a deal or fighting would renew. Last week, he said a fragile ceasefire was on life support and U.S. forces exchanged fire with Iranian forces. He is the ultimate boy who cried wolf. I'm going to lay down all these deadlines, and then I'll back off them right away. The president, who had not previously disclosed that he was planning for a strike on Tuesday, which means it came as a surprise to everybody, did not offer details about the planned attack in his Monday post, of course not, but said he instructed the U.S. military, quote, to be prepared to go forward with a full, large-scale assault on Iran on a moment's notice. Yeah, doofus, they're deployed. They're always, right, since you sent them there, they have been prepared for an assault nonstop. That's what they do. That's their job. They're really, really good at it. Trump's been threatening for weeks that the ceasefire struck in mid-April could end if Iran did not strike a deal, with shifting parameters for striking such an agreement. Over the weekend, he warned, quote, for Iran, the clock is ticking. They better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. How dignified and presidential, sir, to go on social media and try to be a diplomat that way. He said he was calling off the planned strike at the request of allies in the Middle East, including the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. He has repeatedly set deadlines for Iran and then backed off, but he's also in the past indicated he would hold off on military action to allow the talks to continue, only then to turn around and launch strikes. So, once again, do they all think we're stupid and don't remember? Yes, they do. They think we don't care. So in recent days, Trump's spoken with Benjamin Netanyahu and Chinese President Xi Jinping about the Iran war, and of course, his post caused oil to fall, the price of oil to fall, which had been rising with the prospect of a prolonged standoff. Stop, oil markets. Why are you doing this? Why do you jump at every little thing he says? He woke up yesterday and went, I I feel it in my gut. I need to send a threatening text.
Well, new polls came out that showed
Sure.
people were even uneasier than a month ago about
Yes.
gas prices in the economy. And so he had to do something to combat that. So with diplomacy by a tweet, he was able to lower the oil prices once again.
Is he that dumb? It's not changing. The gas is still going to be the same price. It's still, we're not, his little.
It's like short-term gratification, right?
It's
like
because it's all the stock market for his billionaires. And he's probably telling people, and I'm sure this is going to come out. I'm assuming this. This is not fact. This is my opinion. But every time he does that, somebody's making money in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave it there. Somebody's making money on these haphazard tweets that he puts out that everybody seems to be surprised about. Oh, we were doing an attack on Tuesday? What? All right.
It's a benefit to the inner circle, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's what this administration has done. Everything is to benefit the inner circle and the people who donate to this particular president and the Republican Party. That's what this is about. It doesn't matter about the kitchen table economics for you and me. That's not what this is about. They don't care that we can't afford gas or groceries or electricity bills or health care, home prices, whatever. The list goes on and on. They don't care about that. They only care about their own stock portfolios and getting richer, why the rest of us try to figure out how we're going to make ends meet on a daily basis. That's
he
what
said it last week. He
is.
doesn't think about anybody else. So if they tell you what they are, believe them. What else do we need to know this morning, Jamie?
Well, we're going to bring it closer to home because the Wisconsin Elections Commission turns out they were wrong to order Madison to remove 23 late arriving absentee ballots from its count. That's according to a Dane County judge and a ruling that was made last Thursday, ordering the city to count these 23 ballots in the soon-to-be certified Wisconsin Supreme Court race. The ruling comes in response to a lawsuit that was brought by two of those 23 voters who alleged that the Wisconsin Elections Commission unconstitutionally ordered Madison not to count the ballots. We talked about that, right? When this happened and this case came to light, we were like, hey, what about the voters? Well, it turns out that the absentee ballots at issue arrived at the polls after 8 p.m., if you remember the backstory.
Yeah, just a couple of minutes after 8 p.m.
It
literally.
was, and it was a delay that city officials say was caused by election administrator error. State law requires that absentee ballots, quote, be delivered to the polling place no later than 8 p.m. on Election Day. Now, this lawsuit alleged that it would be illegal to disenfranchise properly cast votes over election officials' errors. I kind of agree with that, right? Voters who comply with every element that is required for them to vote a special absentee vote and then not being allowed to have the votes count is contrary to what good law in Wisconsin has been. That is a statement by Dane County Judge Everett Mitchell, and that was the statement from the bench. The ruling came after an hour-long back and forth between attorneys for the Wisconsin Elections Commission and the plaintiffs over the rights of voters when election officials commit errors. Now, in briefs and in court, lawyers for Law Forward, who represented the plaintiffs, referenced several past rulings in the state that they say established a long-running precedent that voters can't be deprived of their constitutional voting rights due to election officials' errors. Now, in ordering Madison, I should say, and Dane County not to count the ballots weeks after the election, the Wisconsin Elections Commission argued that state law simply doesn't permit late arriving ballots to count, even as some commissioners expressed ambivalence about that rule and reluctance about disenfranchising voters in the process. Now, it does remain at this point unclear why there was a delay between the ballots' arrival at the election office and their delivery to the precincts for counting.
Slow line at Culver's drive-through. Guy thought he had some more time when he was driving over.
Right.
Gotta get a Butterburger.
I had no idea that custard was going to take so long. You should have just ordered the vanilla, not the flavor of the day. But, I mean, I think this is going to be an interesting conversation in Wisconsin because yesterday, if you listen to the show, and again, civicmedia.us or Spotify to hear back past episodes, we talked about the new lawsuit brought by the League of Women Voters because this state, even though there is a statute, I think it's ridiculous that election commissioners can basically choose to treat these absentee ballots however they want.
Yeah, no,
right? Like if they want to notify someone that there isn't something right, they can. If they don't want to, they can call them, they can email them. I mean, it's really about consistency for the voting process at this point.
And I know this suit was brought by Law Forward, which champions a lot of very conservative causes, and it was also said that none of these votes would change any of the results.
Right.
But this will go for everybody. So
Yes.
I applaud this, and it is the right decision. It wasn't those voters' faults. And if you're a Democrat and you're like, no, they shouldn't count those, well, think about if it was on the other foot. If a Democratic law firm had brought this case, it doesn't matter who brought the case. The case is valid, and it makes sense. If the election officials screw up for whatever reason, you can't. That's not my fault. I did what you told me to do. My vote should count.
And I think no matter how you vote, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or an independent, I mean, if two voters make the exact same mistake, right, but only one gets notified and it gets allowed to be fixed, or one vote gets counted in one county but not in another, that's not a level playing field for elections.
Right.
It's just not. And so when people start to feel like the rules aren't the same for everyone, that's when the confidence in the election process starts to erode, and we don't need any more help in that process. This administration has done plenty since 2020 to make sure that we feel disenfranchised as voters. So whatever we can do to make it better, especially in a swing state like Wisconsin.
Very good. All right, one more thing we need to know. A Minnesota County prosecutor yesterday announced charges against an immigration and customs enforcement officer in the non-fatal shooting of a Venezuelan man during the Trump administration's crackdown in the state. The officer, Christian Castro, is charged with 4 counts of second-degree assault and 1 count of falsely reporting a crime in the January 14th shooting of Julio Cesar Sosa Celis. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty said at a news conference a warrant has been issued for his arrest. She said Mr. Castro is an ICE agent, but his federal badge does not make him immune from state charges for his criminal conduct in Minnesota. There is no such thing as absolute immunity for federal officers who commit crimes in this state or any other. Yay. Castro, he's 52. He fired through a home's front door and shot Sosa Celis in the thigh after Castro and another officer chased a different man, Alfredo Alejandro Ayorna, to a Minneapolis apartment duplex where he said Sosa Celis lived. That according to Moriarty. She noted that both Sosa Celis and Ayorna were legally in the U.S. Oh, then what had they done wrong? Oh, I know. They went outside as brown people. Federal authorities initially accused Sosa Celis and Ayorna of beating an officer with a broom handle and a snow shovel during the confrontation. A federal judge dismissed those charges, and ICE and the Justice Department opened a joint investigation into whether 2 immigration officers lied about what had happened. Oh, my goodness. Minnesota leaders in the Trump administration have clashed over who has the authority to investigate and prosecute federal officers for on-duty conduct, with the administration suggesting that state officials don't have jurisdiction, to which Minnesota said, oh, really? Let's see about that. So good for Minnesota.
Right? Federal badges doesn't mean you just are immune from everything.
No, the only one with blanket immunity from everything is the president. We know that because the Supreme Court let him have it. So, but ICE officers don't, but presidents have unlimited immunity from everything.
I hope that the people who championed that realize that that now stands for every president, right? Like, I mean, I know this
not
is
if there is no other president,
case,
Jamie.
But good for Minnesota. I'm just going to ignore that comment because I don't even want to pretend that that's a conversation today.
Well,
but
listen,
I mean,
sometimes
good
what's said in jest has a
Yes.
deep seat of reality.
Yes, it does. No,
fear.
I agree. But I mean, I love that Minnesota is actually doing this, right? They're actually doing the prosecuting, and that's the good news for all of us.
So listen, wherever I lay my hat, it is my home, and I'm going to lay it on Swipe or Stay, which is coming up next. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan. She's Jamie Mortensen, and this is the Civic Media Network. Martinson. Sorry, Jamie.
It's okay. Our chat.
Jamie Mortensen.
Our chat.
Jamie Morton.
Our AI description sometimes put it as Mortensen, which I laugh at because
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, and sometimes
Doesn't it? No.
Oh, it should.
I
but
thought
what
that was like trained into it.
No. What I love about
Yeah,
it,
see,
though,
I'm
is-
not AI. Nothing is trained into me.
What I
Well,
love
I
about that is it usually gives us like 2 or 3 different descriptions, and in each one it will have my last name differently.
That's cool.
Cracks me up every time. I'm like, that's awesome.
Just go Jamie M.
I'm Jamie M. in the morning.
Yeah,
it's
good morning.
Dingo in the baby.
Jamie in the jar.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you missed the whole show. Jamie is going to be different.
Okay.
When Brian dies, gonna put his head in a jar.
In the jar.
The jar.
There we go.
That was his wish.
Okay.
Yes.
It is
Cryogenics.
documented.
I don't even remember how, but it became a whole thing. It was very elaborate.
Cryogenics. It's great.
How did that become a thing?
Oh, this woman down here is renting a bike, and she can't keep her backpack on the back of it. It keeps falling off and hindering the wheel.
Good.
Serves you right for being eco-friendly. Riding
Stop
a
it.
bicycle.
Renting
you
a bike,
nerd.
having not ridden one in 25 years is not eco-friendly. It's dumb.
You never forget, Brian.
It's virtue signaling.
You never forget how to ride a bike.
No, we're still trying to get it on there.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out how to put the backpack on the bike and get on the just wear it at this point.
Is she trying to redistribute the weight? What is she doing?
Yes, it's exactly what she's doing. Like if you redistribute. Oh nope. Oh no, we're just gonna wear it. I knew she was gonna succumb. I was just waiting.
We need a people watching cam.
We do have one.
We do. I can put it up during breaks if we want. 15 seconds.
Well, yeah, if you guys are talking about
Yeah.
something elaborate, we'd
I
like
wanna
to see it
see.
too. I want to take a look.
I want to see it.
Let's break out of the bubble and see what's happening out there in pop culture. It's Swipe or Stay on Daybreak.
7:22 right now. We hope that your morning is going well so far. Thank you so much for joining us. It is time for Swipe or Stay. We are going to put a bit of the politics aside for just a few minutes. We're going to dive a little bit more into all of the pop culture with our senior producer, Frank. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I have a fun little anecdote for you all.
Ooh, I like
Yesterday,
anecdotes.
I said my mother-in-law was in town for the weekend.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I came upstairs after yesterday's show. And she looks at me and she goes, so, what do you do?
I'm glad she asked. Somebody finally had to say it. What do you do?
What is it that you do?
What was your answer?
Yeah, what'd you say?
That's the important part.
I give her the same answer I give everybody. There's a famous Conan O'Brien bit with his previous producer, Jordan Schlansky. Whenever he would ask Jordan, what do you do? And it's always various tasks and duties as assigned to me as producer.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
And then the follow-up for everybody is, so are you on air? And then I go, sometimes, and this is that time. So welcome into Swipe or Stay.
Yeah.
Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to read some pop culture headlines. Jamie and Brian are going to have to decide whether to stay on it and hear more or swipe on to the next one. Parker, you get to break the tie if it comes to it, okay?
Okay.
Really? No fooling? I get to?
Golly
That's
gee,
right.
Mr. Frank. That's
Gee
great.
willikers.
Yippee!
All right. Story number 1. Highly anticipated series already shakes up the cast.
Ooh.
I'm in. Stay.
I'll stay.
Any guesses on the show?
Highly anticipated series. No.
It hasn't
No.
aired yet.
Oh.
No.
All right. So despite not having aired, the upcoming HBO Harry Potter series has already recast the role of Ginny Weasley as they start production on season 2.
Season 2?
Is there a
Season
one?
1's done. It's going to air on Christmas Day.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But they're already, because you got these kids while they're young, and
Sure.
each season is a different book, so they have to just continuously do the show. so everyone's age appropriate.
Okay.
All right.
So HBO released a statement on the matter saying, due to unforeseen circumstances, Gracie, the actress, has made the challenging decision to step away from her role as Ginny Weasley in the series after season 1. Now, if you're familiar with the Harry Potter series at all, the second book is where Ginny's story takes an extreme turn and she becomes a very important character throughout the whole series. So for this young actress to drop out before you hit that second season of the show is massive for her career. So I hope everything's well with her.
Yeah.
And it was a personal choice, but I mean, if you're looking at stardom, that's where you make it.
Is the second one Prisoner of Azkaban?
It's the Chamber of Secrets. Prisoner of Azkaban will be season 3 of the show.
Yeah. I always get the order confused. All right. Well, that's interesting.
Moving on, Disney is under fire for PR stunt.
Oh.
What could they have done now? The happiest place on earth?
I like it when the mouse gets in some trouble. I'll stay.
Yeah, I'll stay too. A little Schadenfreude.
So the mouse is getting more and more scrutinized, but not for charging families an arm and a leg this time. Instead, it's for catering to influencers and vloggers. The bane of everybody's existence.
Yes.
So here's what happened. Disney posted on their Instagram a video of parkgoers enjoying the Smuggler's Run ride at Disneyland in the Star Wars area.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the Mandalorian appears and takes his helmet off to reveal it's actually Pedro Pascal to greet everybody.
Okay.
Wow. The whole room erupts in excitement, as one would. I'd be pretty excited.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see Pedro Pascal.
But the fix may be in.
What?
Hardcore fans noticed that the surprise group contained mostly of social media influencers and cosplayers. One digital blogger wrote, "Biggest thank you to the team at Star Wars for making this happen. Go see The Mandalorian on the big screen, May 22nd.
Oh, boy.
So it was a publicity stunt.
Marketing. You suck.
Boo.
And of course, in this day and age, if you want to publicize something, you just get the biggest and the best influencers. Yeah.
Well, and there's even like, if you look it up and go watch the video.
I can't.
And you see, like, I saw a screenshot taken from it, and the over-the-top excited faces.
Listen, they don't know how to act.
Yeah, I don't even have to do much research. Where it's like, oh my God, Pedro Pascal, is that the real Grogu, Baby Yoda?
Oh my gosh.
I think I just made myself dizzy doing influencer face.
You looked good though.
You
We're still working on your TikTok.
I was gonna say there's no duck face in there yet. I mean, you got to do the duck.
Not
face
yet.
at
No,
some point.
that'll make a comeback. But yeah, everybody's pissed off at Disney yet again, just a different reason.
Wow.
Classic comedy film gets the green light for a new series.
Oh.
Are there no original ideas? Sidebar? No, there aren't.
Not. There's not. Not right now.
For a series. You know what? I'm a TV addict. I'll stay,
It's
Frank.
like this is Brian's wheelhouse. I'm shocked if he doesn't stay.
I'm staying.
Brian, I thought of you while writing this one. So
thank you.
I think you'll agree with me. There are some movies that are rites of passage for viewing, especially in the comedy sphere, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
One of those movies is Young Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
And they are getting a series now.
What?
Yes, Very Young Frankenstein is heading to FX as a TV series.
Wait, is that what it's called?
That is what it's called.
Very.
Well, that's just stupid.
What?
That's just stupid.
What?
FX Entertainment president Nick Grad said, "Very Young Frankenstein blends inspiration from the fan favorite movie with the inventive, irreverent spirit that has defined FX comedies over the years, making this a completely original take on the classic story."
Here's one.
Is this Young Sheldon redo?
Basically. But anyway, you may be excited to find out that Mel Brooks will be the executive producer.
Well,
That's Swiper Say.
There's at least that.
All right. Listen, yeah. Well,
I don't know if he can save it, but at least he's involved.
what brain did I get? Abby Normal. How should we fund schools now that the spending bill didn't pass?
All right.
Abby something. Abby normal.
There are they've basically obliterated Hollywood to the point where we'll never get another original screenplay ever again.
We won't.
Would you like a roll in the hay?
Because everything is it's so much easier to just redo because everything's already done. You just have to recast now.
Well, at least this is going to be, it's not a remake. It's a, using the source material as a basis for something.
They have the right people in place. Mel Brooks is an executive producer. Taika Waititi's an executive producer. Zach Galifianakis is going to star in it. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, so he's the young Gene Wilder. He's not that much younger than Gene Wilder was in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very young.
I'm still not fully sure on what we're going to get.
Street.
Now nothing's happening.
Oh, we got a bike.
Bus band.
Bikers.
Ooh, she was fast.
That was kind of, that was zooming.
She was super fast on that thing.
She's super freaky.
Those electric bikes are kind of interesting to me.
Could you imagine if we just saw a carjacking go down?
Oh, speaking of which, one of our storm chasers was in Kansas. He lives in Kansas City, and he was at the bus stop the other day. Yeah. Guy came up and just punched him in the head and tried to steal his wallet, and it ended up in a fight out in the middle of the street. There's actually video of it. James is all bruised up. His glasses got broken. It was craziness. And guy punched him right in the head. There's video of it because it's a surveilled scene. And the guy just came up. James is just sitting on the bench. He's just sitting there on his phone. And the guy comes up and just pops him in the head, the top of the head. And James took him into the street. The guy got away, but didn't get anything.
Did he get a couple of good shots in at least?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
You watch him rolling around on the ground and everything.
Jeez.
That happened Sunday. He called. He was like, "You're never going to guess what just happened to me." James has been a friend of ours for 17 years. Well, because Severe Studios is 20 years old this year, and James came in. Yeah, so 17 years, James has been our IT guy.
Holy cow.
It was insane. At least he wasn't seriously hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we were like, that if the guy popped you like that, he could have had a gun, right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, yeah, but
no, it was crazy because he was just sitting there he had his elbows resting on his knees. He was just waiting, and he had his phone, and he was just, texting and things and checking stuff online. And the guy just came over and just punched him right in the head.
What the hell?
And then because James, being James, he went and got the surveillance footage and stuff. And he was like, wait till you guys see this. And we were like, oh my God,
jeez.
Are you okay?
Wow.
But also, please send that.
Yeah.
I'll have to.
Yeah, are you okay? Can we see it?
Yeah. Oh no, he sent it to us. He let us see it because then he showed us pictures because, of course, he called the cops and then they wanted photos of the bruises and the broken glasses and all of that. So he's got all of those photos.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, it was kind of insane. He's lived there for basically his entire life, and he's like, I've never had anything like that happen to me here.
Wild.
Wow.
And what was weird is there was 5 people there. He was one of 5 people sitting on this bench.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't even.
He wasn't
James was
alone.
No, but he was on the end.
Okay.
So he was right on the end of the bench, and the guy just walked down the sidewalk, and James was the first guy there, and just.
Is he a small guy, a big guy?
James is not. He's not huge, but he's not. I mean, he's not itty bitty.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
I mean, I'm 5'1". James is probably 5'6", 5'7". He's quite a bit tall. Yeah. So.
That's still wee, right, Frank?
Yeah. Mr. Plow King said I missed out on my free beer last night. Yeah. Let me tell you, Mr. Plow King, after watching that agonizing defeat at the rate the other day, the last thing I wanted to do was spend more money to watch my team play.
And get defeated again?
Did they lose last night? I didn't even
Huge.
see. Yep, that's about right. All right, goodbye.
Local voices, statewide impact. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. Hopefully you're having a great Tuesday. Some clouds in portions of the state this morning, some rain, some thunderstorms moving through. Looks like those are going to be moving out, though. We're going to give way to some cooler temperatures as the week goes on, at least only for a couple of days. Then we're going to warm back up into more spring-like temperatures, let's say.
It's Memorial Day weekend. Let's go.
It is. I know. Does Memorial Day seem early this year? It feels very early for some reason.
We're just this month is blowing by. Time, I'm not going to be that guy. Time goes so fast.
But it does.
My clock is really off because this is the first time in my life that I haven't had school.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you would have
That's
just been
true.
graduated like a year ago. Yeah, that makes sense.
So my calendar is very out of funk.
Look how far you've come.
In your head, where is it? Where is your...
I have no idea. I have no
Plus,
idea.
you get up before the sun, so that also doesn't help. I get it.
If I had to guess, I would say it's probably the start of June. I'm probably like 3 weeks off.
All right, that makes sense.
Just, all of a sudden, and maybe it's because, too, we're looking forward to my daughter's wedding in August,
of
and I keep
course.
thinking that there's a lot of time, and then it's like, man,
No.
a couple of weeks ago, we were like, oh, we still have 3 months. Now it's like, oh, we only have just over 2.
Yeah, I was
And
going to say, you're like down to like 8-9 weeks
yeah,
at this point.
I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Yeah, don't think about it like that. Think about it in days. It just seems better when you don't
It's
going to
have to, because once, if I start thinking how close it is, then I'm going to, even though I know everything's in place for my part and all my responsibilities, I'm still going to panic and go,
Of course.
So
you want her to have the best day possible. I have succumbed to the fact that I don't think I'll ever get to have a wedding with my kids. Which we eloped, so I can't say anything about them. And I would never take that away from them if they decide to. But I just having conversations with them about significant others the last few weeks, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm never gonna get the wedding planning process.
Oh, because one of your sons is dating. He's not.
He is. He's in Ohio right now.
Okay.
He drove out yesterday. His girlfriend is there. And she will be coming back to live in the great state of Wisconsin with him for the summer and work in Milwaukee. So,
all right.
I'm excited to have her. She lives far enough away, and I've only met her a couple times.
I'm excited to have her as long as she's over there.
I
She
don't
can
get
come,
to talk
but
to
stay
her
over
that
there.
often. She is a 4-year nursing student, so I don't get to talk to her that often. So I'm excited that she's going to be here this summer, and I do get to know her a little bit better. And
All right.
spend some
I
more
thought
time
you
with
said
her.
I don't have to talk to her
No,
very long.
No.
Parker, isn't that what it sounded like Jamie said?
If I did,
that I don't have to talk to her?
The phrasing was a little.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not what I actually love her. She's very, very sweet. Don't get me wrong. Bad phrasing. Tired.
It was bad phrasing because I was like, wow, all right, that was a bold statement to make on the air when your son could be listening.
No,
he's
not.
Say, yeah, I don't
He's
have
not.
to talk to her much.
No,
what?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't get to talk to her much, is what I should say, because she is very, very busy. She's a 4.0 student, so I'm very excited that she's going to be here, and we get to spend more time with her this summer. And I talk to her periodically when she has time, but it's not very often. So I'm excited for her to be
Well,
here.
good backpedal, Jamie.
Yeah,
Nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I was
Freudian slips.
yeah. Again, everything has a kernel of truth, does it not?
It does.
Anyway, well, I don't want to get you in any more trouble. Let's just move on. Because I was thinking of you last week when you were gone and this whole spending bill thing came up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is Jamie's bailiwick. She's missing out on this. We had a lot of great conversations about it.
Attention.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Well, now superintendents from big districts around the state have said this is a mistake and we need lawmakers back at the table because this massive spending plan would have given millions of dollars to schools, and you guys killed it in the Senate last week. Now, there's a lot of opponents to this bill, and we talked to a couple groups that were opponents, and a lot of it was, well, this is one-time money, and it's not good. And there were a lot of things. But it was a $1.8 billion deal brokered by Governor Evers, Robin Voss, LeMahieu, everybody. They were all in on it in what people are calling a backroom deal. That's how most deals are done. Let's be honest. Putting it out in front of a group and letting everybody squawk in about it, you're not going to get a deal. That's why the deal gets done. And then you get, yes, they'd still be trying to, at least you got to vote on it. It wasn't passed without you. It was a deal that, stop.
Yeah, but there always has to be a sense of illusion and secrecy to the whole thing, even if that's how politics actually
But come
works.
on. They've been debating these issues for how long? So stop with the a deal got made. And my point
everybody's
was,
wanted to figure out how to use that $2 billion surplus.
Now,
So-
let me ask you this, Jamie, and I was really racking my brain because last week the opponents were like, well, this isn't, we don't really have this money. And I was like, wait, this is the first I'm hearing of we don't really have this money, because a surplus means that you have it in hand, you haven't spent it. So when that came out, I was like, wait, we've talked about this so many times. Never has it been, well, we expect to have this surplus. It was always very definitive. We have this surplus money. Am I off?
No, and I think what I have found interesting about the surplus conversation is that as more and more plans have come out about how this money could be used, what potential alleviations it could have for Wisconsin residents, it's become less of we certainly have this money, to more we expect to have this money.
Yeah.
And that's how it's kind of progressed, because let's be realistic, in the middle of an election cycle like we are in, and looking at fully new leadership from top to bottom in the state of Wisconsin, Democrats aren't going to want Republicans to think that they have a $2 billion surplus.
No, they
They're
don't.
just not.
And they don't want to spend anything now because November could change everything. But that doesn't mean that superintendents in Milwaukee, Madison, Kenosha, Racine, and Green Bay said in a joint statement that the compromise proposed by Governor Evers and Republican leadership represented meaningful progress, and the bill would have been a step in the right direction. And that was my argument. Sometimes you have to take a short-term win for a long-term issue, and that does not cancel out or solve the long-term issue. But compromise is the thing, and people don't on either side. There was nobody wanted to compromise.
No,
nobody.
And I find that intriguing because just about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago now, that was the whole point of the biennial budget, right? Is everybody was so excited because finally there'd been some compromise. The Democrats finally got to be in the room and they got to have some input. And I know there were people within the Democratic Party that weren't happy about all the terms of that biennial budget, and it didn't go far enough. And even Democrats admitted it didn't go far enough in some areas. But there was still compromise because we haven't had that option in this state. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there was some compromise between Governor Evers and, outgoing Speaker Voss and LeMahieu, I found it interesting just watching this from afar last week that Democrats were not on board in any way, shape, or form. And they were the ones making the most noise about not being in the room in this backrooms deal. Right. And so I found it very intriguing just watching and reading and not being here why that was all happening last week.
Well, there was a lot of fancy talk and a lot of spin, but the bottom line is, in my opinion, this was all about, and you touched on it a little bit, this was all about we want our policies to go through, so we want that money when we take power. Everybody's banking on it. And one of my questions to somebody we talked to was like, all right, devil's advocate, but we're all planning, everybody's planning on a trifecta on the Democratic side. Are you willing to roll the dice and risk that this bill that would have helped, even in the short term, is still going to be available when and if the Democrats take power? Because if they don't, you're back to square one, and there's a really good chance you're not getting any of this. So, we all want the big problem solved, myself included. But maybe I'm a little more pragmatic, and I look at things and say, sometimes you got to take the deal, and then you move on.
Well, and that was kind of my stance as I was watching this play out from different parts of the country last week, because I was like, okay, didn't we just have a big fight about property taxes and referendums and schools saying that they're not going to be able to have operational costs and teachers? And doesn't this alleviate that? Maybe keep these schools and these districts from having to do yet another referendum on next year's ballot?
Well, nobody can really say how we're going to get that funding money then without, and that's, It's a question I've asked a couple people. You've asked people, pardon me. So what are we going to do? And this was not perfect. Yes, it was authored by 3 people who aren't going to be in office anymore. Yes, it was happening right before an election. Yes, according to Democrats, well, look, the Republicans will be able to say they did this, and so it'll hurt us in the election. I don't think so. I don't think, again, it goes back to Wisconsin voters are not for sale.
Right.
We saw that with the Supreme Court races. We've seen it before. Yes, if you get this done, will they give you a tip of the hat from Democrats to go, hey, that was pretty good? But everybody sees through it. The point is you would still be doing good. You would still be helping. And then you deal with the fallout later.
What I found interesting, and I guess one of the questions I had while I was watching this play out last week, do the Democrats not trust Governor Evers? Like, I know he's outgoing, right? I know that he's not running again. I know that there is no gubernatorial candidate quite yet on the Democratic side. Okay. Do you not trust Governor Evers to do what's best? I mean, you've trusted the man for 8 years to do what he's needed to do in office and lead your party at the state level. All of a sudden, because he's outgoing, you don't trust him to make the decisions?
Yeah, that doesn't seem that. Well, again, it's not that we don't trust him. It's that we want to make the decisions.
But you might not have that option.
That's the point. Everybody's acting like it's a lock, and it is.
Nothing's a lock.
Come on.
Nothing's a lock. Nothing is ever a lock. It's an election. And in Wisconsin, things go wonky really, really quickly in this state. Now, I understand that we just came off a very successful election. If you were a fan of Chris Taylor's, you're very happy right now.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that the next election is going to go in your favor. There's a lot of time between now and the midterms. There's a lot of things going on at the national level that could eventually affect the state level of politics as well. Nothing is ever a lock. And let's be clear, I'm going to say this again because this is still a big concern of mine in this election cycle. There are, there are 7 basic primary candidates on the gubernatorial race. There's 9 on the Democratic side in the race. There's a couple that don't have as big of a name and haven't gotten as much press also in that race. We have to decide, voters have to decide who that candidate is going to be in just a few months. Then that person only has basically 9 weeks to run against Tom Tiffany, who's already doing a parade of media and town halls and things all across the state. It's not a lot of time. And I understand polls and maps are a little bit more favoring right now. Nothing is ever a lock because it's politics, and it's Wisconsin politics. Things go wonky. I know I could probably use a better term, but I'm not going to because it's Wisconsin politics, right?
So just anytime you count your chickens,
never do that.
You're ready for some disappointment. Let's look back at election night 2016.
Yeah.
Right?
Or 2024. Or
2024. Yes, we all had our chickens counted. And man, it ended up in a nice Cane's chicken strip.
What worries me about this is that obviously if these school districts are raising red flags about this deal that they would like to have seen and come to fruition, this is an impact on homeowners because this means that property taxes still are not going to be stable in this state. Right. And that's something that both parties are going to have to figure out in an election cycle.
Is there a form of expression or art that you would support banning? Interesting. Oh, I asked I shouldn't say my own question is interesting. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
Alicia pointing out, and yes, she's correct. The bill would not stop referendums. It was for special education funding. From what I've read, though, is this makes sure that because some of the referendums were for educational costs like special education. And so some of these school districts could have at least alleviated another referendum for a year or so without having to put another one on the ballot quite so soon. But they're not going to have that option now if they don't have some sort of deal. And let's be realistic. You got them into the conversations when they were supposed to be on vacation. You're probably not doing it again. I would be shocked if the Republicans will do it again.
No, they won't come back. It won't come back.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to prove, though, that I was actually surprised at how outspoken the Democrats were of not approving this bill simply because it's 3 people who are no longer going to be in office.
Yeah, that was the big. It's like
I was like, seriously, I didn't understand that at all. Alicia's saying that in the past, Evers has been open with Dem leadership, and this deal completely excluded Dem leadership. It basically excluded Republican leadership too, except for LeMahieu and Voss, because the Republicans didn't really have any more insight into it than the Democrats.
No,
Republicans weren't upset. That was the other thing that I found fascinating, is the Republicans were far less upset about this than the Democrats.
It's I don't know. The whole thing
it
was
was
crazy.
interesting.
It's like, yes, it's a deal got done. Everybody can't be involved. Oh, we got to have everybody involved in it because then we'll get everything we want. No, you won't.
But does that go back to that entitlement that both parties sometimes feel, is they were more involved last go around with the biennial, so at least let us have a say at the table this time? I mean, that's kind of where my mind kept going.
Yeah,
too.
but it's like, no, sometimes things just get done. You get to vote on it, and you can be spiteful and say, no, we didn't get to say anything, so we're going to vote against it. Stop. Look at take a short-term win. The Democrats don't want to take a small win. They have to win the battle all the time. And you can't always win the battle, or the war rather. Sometimes you just got to win the battle.
I kind of felt like in this, they thought that the battle was won with the biennial, but this was like a bridge too far, which I also thought was an interesting take from them.
Yeah. 15 seconds till we're back.
Ugh.
All facts, no fiction. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
7:52 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We do appreciate it. Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday. I am Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. So, is there a form of art or expression that you would support banning? And why are we so afraid of ideas? This is, again, Jamie, a big story last week, and you were not around. Everybody waited to make news till you were gone. So this was, this one really had me going last week. I was, because I don't know why we have to feel, or some people feel they need to ban things. We need to ban books. We need to ban thoughts. We need to ban an instrumental piece of music that was only dedicated to somebody who was instrumental in the LGBTQ plus movement. Again, an instrumental, Jamie. I'm not. You know music. I'm not giving this tutorial for you. Usually, you give the civics lessons. I'm going to give a music lesson.
Please
and Parker,
do.
I want you to listen up. There is a difference, Parker, between an instrumental and a song. A song has words, lyrics, if you will. And perhaps a lot of music with lyrics sends messages. People have sung about freedom and protest songs for decades and decades. An instrumental, that's all up to you, whatever's in your head as the music moves you. So, A Mother of Revolution is a piece of music that was composed in 2019 by Omar Thomas for contemporary wind ensembles. Again, instrumental. Well, boy, oh boy, oh boy, the Watertown School Board, they heard the letters LGBTQ and they lost their ever-loving minds. They pulled it. They said, you cannot perform this. And now they've doubled down and they are saying, we made the right decision because we voted 7-1 to pull that song from the May 18th program. The piece violated the district's controversial issues policy. First of all, are we still in a time where being gay is controversial?
Apparently so. apparently so. I thought we'd move past that, but I stand corrected.
Yeah, I mean, right? We're in a different era. I mean, I'm sure there are students in the Watertown School District that are gay. I'm sure they are feeling a little bit more marginalized than maybe they have been, or maybe there's some kids who haven't come out yet who are struggling with their identity, and they see this and they're like, oh man, see? They don't even want to hear music that doesn't even talk about being gay. It's just the composer dedicated this music to somebody afterward. So they said Sunday they met again, and the board continued to defend their decision with a press release stating that the board removed the song due to its celebration of violence because supposedly the woman that the song is dedicated to threw a shot glass that started the big Haymarket riots that began. So she threw a shot glass and broke a mirror and then perhaps got into a scuffle with police. Again, somebody's going to have to do a lot of research before, because if I've been to these ensemble concerts, as I said last week with my daughter, I have no idea what the pieces are. And you know what? I don't care. So I sit there and I enjoyed the music. Mm-hmm. And with an instrumental, you're not, I don't know, the idea of being scared by an idea and hiding behind this fake, we're protecting children from controversial ideas, when the music teacher had already sent out a letter.
That's the key. I mean, that in October.
Yep.
In October of last year, the band director followed the district's controversial issues policy and sent this note home, letting families know that the class would be studying and preparing this song. At that time, only one family actually objected. And the school board didn't have any objections at the time.
Right. And the family, the letter was you could opt out. It was okay.
Yeah.
The band leader said, you don't have to play this. And again, it's so simple. I don't know why I have to keep repeating this. It's an instrumental. How many people are doing research? And if you're in Watertown and you're so upset by the fact that this song was written and composed and dedicated, this piece of music, I should say, it's by somebody that's gay, or it's dedicated to someone who's gay, you really need to do some more self-evaluation because you are a narrow-minded person who is afraid that piece of music's going to make my kids gay. No, it's not. Your kid is gay or they're not gay. That's how it works.
What I love about this is that as of yesterday, hundreds of Watertown high school and middle school students walked out of class. They did so last week after the board's decision.
Good.
Yesterday, 775 alumni, staff, or former staff, parents, and other community members sent a letter to the school board saying that the band director followed the district's controversial issues policy.
Mm-hmm.
The letter said public schools exist to help every student learn, grow, and reach their full potential. Decisions made by school leaders should always put students' education, opportunities, and well-being first. I mean, literally, we're seeing this type of censorship, this sort of neutrality, this sort of whitewashing. This is not the first example of this.
No.
We're seeing it across the country between the books, the art, classes, history being taught. This is not the first example, and this is why, again, I hate to say it, but this is why your local elections are so damn important.
Well, this is big news. I saw this just this morning, so this is an update. The composer of the piece is coming to Madison to conduct a student performance. He's going to be at an Evangelical Lutheran Church on Wednesday. Doors open at 7 p.m. Omar Thomas is the composer's name. Musicians will include local community members and area students, and he will speak to the audience after the performance, which is going to be live streamed. So if you want to see it, if you want to support, if you want to stand up to the kind of censorship that should make us all sick, go and enjoy that performance on Wednesday. Hey, WMDX listeners, ta-ta. But you can always go to the Civic Media app and listen all the way, or download the podcast and see what you're missing in the last hour of the program. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian. She's Jamie. It's the Civic Media Network.
All right.
got it all in there, Parker.
Chris Kulke from Waterloo, listening on WXCO, says this is peak water tucky.
Well. Water.
Yeah, a history teacher of mine from high school, I follow him on Instagram, or maybe it was Facebook, I don't remember, but I saw him post something because he's from Watertown. He's like, this is why people get out.
Yeah.
This is why we leave town.
I don't blame him. It was a roller coaster of power, politics, and pop culture last hour. I don't know if you were listening, but it was
whirlwind of controversy.
We got a lot we cover it all, Jamie. That's the beauty of this program. We cover it all.
Alicia saying she would suggest reading the bill amendment and the LFP report, and it showed a lot. I have read both. I read both in a motel room.
Nice.
Because we were actually in one location when that news broke.
And yes, I understand the arguments, especially with the tax refund. That's trying to buy a vote. But again, people aren't dumb. $300 isn't going to sway your vote. And if it did, your vote was not concrete anyway.
The thing that and again, for me, it literally comes down to the election isn't guaranteed. It's just not. And I wish I could say that with much more confidence, but it's not. It's an election.
Yeah. That's why we vote.
The Democrats are still, they've got a lot of ground to move yet in this election cycle. I'll put it like that. It is a very worrisome election for me, to be quite honest. Oh, that's brave of you, sir. Just darting in between buses and cars out there on your bicycle. Oh my gosh.
There were a ton of sirens this morning when I was
There
coming
were a
in.
lot of sirens.
I don't know what the hell it's about.
Look at all these happy people walking. You can tell the weather's getting nicer. Like a month and a half ago, you would never have seen this many people walking around outside.
God, no.
You literally didn't.
No. Yeah.
Now they're just like, ooh, let's be outside.
Yeah. Is that how they sound?
Yes.
Pretty close.
Gross.
That's what I envision in my head anyway. That's what I hear.
Ooh. No, I like it.
Oh, this car thinks it's going to drive right into that truck or something. There's a truck that's opened up, and it doesn't know what it wants to do here. God, I'm glad it's getting nicer because I get so entertained by people watching. People really are a treasure, aren't they?
There's something.
Yeah, they are.
They are an absolute treasure. I wonder if they know they're being judged right now.
They sense it. They don't know
I'm sure they do.
They don't know where it's coming from.
That says maybe on camera.
They're not sure, but
no,
they know.
that would defeat the purpose of my people watching. It's why I used to love, like, one of my favorite things. I hated going to the Mall of America when we lived in the Twin Cities. My favorite day of the year to go to the Mall of America, though, was on Black Friday.
Oh, God.
Because
I can't imagine going there on Black Friday.
It was, but see, I didn't shop. I would literally go up to,
but you had
like,
to park.
Yeah, but it was fine.
Okay.
I would literally go up to like one of the benches on like on the second or third floor by all of like the main store, and you just get a coffee and breakfast, and you just sit there all morning and watch people. It is one of the most glorious moments ever. I never purchased a thing. We didn't walk out with anything. Sometimes I'd go to a bookstore. That was about my extent of it.
Just watching people.
Oh, it was just amazing.
Whatever.
I used to like working. There was a comedy club in the Mall of America.
Oh,
it sat on the fourth floor, Knuckleheads.
Yeah. Yes.
And when I was working there, I used to like going because there was a Caribou Coffee in the mall, and I loved Caribou Coffee. I would just sit there.
Corey's favorite.
It was just so much fun.
Frank says going to sit at the Mall of America on Black Friday to people watch is true sicko stuff.
It is.
It is.
It's like serial killer, like you're taking your notebook to make sure that you
It was so much fun. And then when we get done, because we would always just have like I don't know, like a piece of coffee cake or something because it was early, and then we'd go get like actual breakfast somewhere. It was like one of the best traditions we had living there.
We got 15 seconds. Door back.
Across the state of Wisconsin, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie is back.
6 minutes after 8 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We hope you are having a great start to your day. Some clouds across a good portion of Wisconsin right now. Maybe some rain showers throughout the day on and off as well. So hopefully wherever you're at, it is dry. I know we had a little rain in Madison very, very early on, giving way to some cooler temperatures. And then by your Memorial Day weekend, looks like we're going to warm some things back up, at least as of right now. Mother Nature is fickle. Things are bound to change. We'll keep you updated. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. You can always get involved. Talk to us, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. It's 8:07, and now it's the start of your day, but don't leave before you learn some things. Here's some stuff you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
This is how fast the news cycle goes. I forgot all about Luigi Mangione. I forgot all about what a dreamboat he was. I forgot about how he suddenly made murder okay to some people. No matter what the cause was, murder not okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Jamie. That's a hot take. Kids are going to at me. How dare you say murder is not okay? But I'm going to stand by it. I'll fight for it. Well, you remember Luigi Mangione. He killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Some evidence found, or he's accused of it, even though we saw him on camera. Some evidence found in Luigi Mangione's backpack at the time of his arrest will be excluded from his upcoming trial, according to a New York judge ruling yesterday, though many other key items, including a 3D printed gun and writings expressing frustrations with the healthcare industry, will be allowed. Well, probably enough. Although some of Mangione's belongings were tossed from the case, the mixed ruling is largely a victory for prosecutors who will be able to show jurors the so-called manifesto and the firearm they say was used to kill United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione's attorneys argued that local police illegally searched his backpack when he was arrested at a Pennsylvania McDonald's in early December of 2024, days after Thompson was fatally shot on a Manhattan sidewalk. Judge Gregory Carl ruled prosecutors can use the gun and a red notebook with handwritten entries at trial. Those items, among others, were retrieved as part of a valid search, according to the Altoona Police Department's protocol. But items found during the initial search at the McDonald's, including a loaded magazine, passport, wallet, cell phone, computer chip, those are going to be excluded. So although police officers said they searched the bag at the time in part because they feared it may contain a weapon, Carroll found the justification did not hold up to scrutiny. Oh, all right. Mangione's defense attorneys had pushed for the backpack's contents to be barred from the state's case because they allege it was searched illegally without a warrant. Prosecutors and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office denied the defense's claim and insisted the searches were legal and proper. Do you remember how crazy? Not the case. I mean, the case seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Sure.
But the reaction now, I think we all have a shared disdain for insurance companies because they love taking our money. They don't always like to pay out. Even if you have quote unquote good insurance, which I am very fortunate we do have quote unquote good insurance. There's still stuff where you go, seriously? You're going to, like the last insurance company we had, my wife is diabetic. she had to argue with them because they said they would cover the insulin, but they would not cover the needles. And the argument was, well, then how do you get the insulin into your body? Well, those aren't necessary. Have you ever taken insulin? You don't drink it.
Necessary.
Yeah, it's not a suppository. You have to inject it. So we all have that disdain for insurance companies, but this was a premeditated, cold-blooded murder. This was not the way we deal with problems, or not the way we should deal with problems. And but all these people who idolized him, that was what was, again, crazy to me.
Why do we do this in this country? I mean,
because he was cute.
Well, okay, so great, fine, sure.
Well, that was the justification.
But do you remember a few years ago when there was that quote unquote hot felon, that Jeremy Meeks, who eventually became a fashion model? Why do we do this in this country?
Because
they're
we're
felons.
superficial. We lack critical thinking.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why we do this. I think it's weird.
It is. Well, you're right. It is weird. There's no
weird.
reason that we should say, oh, just because that guy is objectively pretty, he must be elevated above the rest. Now, if Mangione had like a giant lump on his forehead and his teeth were missing and he was unkempt, people would have been, lock him up, put him away so we don't have to cast our eyes on him.
I think it's very strange in this country how we basically idolize these types of people, and how we give them a pass because they look like they couldn't do these things, or they're handsome, or they're beautiful, or whatever it is. I think that's a interesting hot take that we have here in the United States.
Well, Frank said there's a whole website, a whole account called Mugshotties. They post pictures of mugshots of attractive people, and I've seen that. I've seen the guy mugshot. I've seen female mugshots, and they're like, okay. And let's be honest, is anybody really that attractive in their mugshot?
No.
Parker, wait a minute, Parker, you're familiar with Mugshotties?
Yeah.
Am I saying that correctly? Mugshotties.
McShotties. Yeah.
All right.
Good job, Brian.
I mean, this isn't glamour shots, right? Like, this is your mugshot. You've been convicted. Not everybody can be as ugly as Nick Nolte was in his
Nick Nolte's, that's a classic. Well, it's like when people go to get their driver's license, they think it's glamour shots. So, could you take it again? No, you're not. You're hideous. It's your ID.
You get one shot at it, and that's all you get. I mean, nobody's going to give you a bunch of attempts to take your mugshot.
No, and also when you're showing your ID, you're standing right there, so people can look at you.
This is what you look like,
right?
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that's what you look like, oh well.
I'm just glad that the court system is, even with this much publicity, is doing what a good court system does. It's called due process, people. And whether you agree with it or not, judges in their very right mind to, continue to follow the Constitution, no matter how you feel about Mangione and the case. Just saying.
All right. Next up.
We do have some other headlines of stuff you need to know. We're going to go to a whole different continent. We're going to the Congo and to Africa, because Congo will open 3 Ebola treatment centers in eastern Ituri, the province. And the World Health Organization is now sending a team of experts to the country following an outbreak of a rare type of the virus that has killed more than 110 people. An American doctor in Congo is among those newly confirmed cases of the virus, with no approved vaccines or medicines, according to officials in Congo. Over the weekend, the WHO declared the Ebola outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. As of Monday, there were over 118 deaths and 300 suspected cases in Ituri and North Kivu provinces, and 1 death and 1 suspected case in neighboring Uganda. Now, experts say the number of cases is likely to rise as health officials conduct more surveillance. The Bundi-Buja virus spread undetected for at least a few weeks. Because early tests looked for the wrong strain of Ebola, health officials got false negatives and then lost weeks of response time, at least according to the director of the Georgetown University Center for Global Health Policy and Politics, who also said that health experts are now playing catch-up against a very dangerous pathogen. He also went on to criticize the Trump administration's earlier decision to withdraw from the WHO and make deep cuts in foreign aid. The severity of the symptoms and the rising caseload are fueling a growing sense of panic in the neighborhoods of Bunia. Now, Congo has said that the first person died from the virus on April 24th in Bunia, and the body was then returned to a different area with a much larger population, which caused this outbreak to escalate. An American doctor is among the cases in Bunia. Dr. Peter Stafford is his name, and he'd been treating patients at a hospital there where he developed symptoms, at least according to Surge, which is the organization that he currently works for. There are 3 other employees of Surge who are working at the same hospital, including Stafford's wife, but none of them, as of right now, are showing any symptoms.
Ew. This is starting to spread a lot. Remember, we had an Ebola scare, I don't know, at some point in my lifetime. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
But
I mean, anytime you start seeing, and I think, don't you think now, since COVID-19, whenever you see some weird medical issue start to spread, or you see some sort of virus start to spread, people get really nervous, and for good reason, right?
Sure.
I get it.
It's one of 2 things. Yes, they could get really nervous, or 2, they're like, forget it. This is, the people who still deny COVID don't care about huntavirus or Ebola or Paniwana cracker virus or whatever that was, whatever we called that one. But so people will, and you saying that there's no vaccines, people are going to go, well, the vaccines kill you anyway, so why bother?
What I think worries me most when I hear stories like this is just what this expert from Georgetown University said. We have done away with so much research in this country in just the last year and a half, basically, that it really does scare me, because I don't know if anything were to be more serious down the road. And I'm not underplaying how serious this is in Africa right now. But at the same time, it worries me. Where would we be? Right? Because we don't have the research. We don't have the information that we once did. We don't have the researchers. We've cut off funding. We've done all of that.
We've pulled out of the WHO. We're just, because it's a dumbing down of this country.
Yeah.
From the top down, we distrust science. We distrust medicine. We distrust anybody who they think they're smarter than us. Guess what? They are. It's okay to not be the smartest. Try not to be the dumbest, but it's okay not to be the smartest.
Sometimes you need smarter people around.
Right. You always need smarter people around. Look at everything we use and think to yourself, honestly, are you smart enough to have come up with a computer? Are you smart enough to have figured out how to pasteurize your milk? I know everybody wants to drink raw milk till you get sick. But so
Please
think
don't.
about all that. And those were all done by smart people.
Yeah. I mean,
we watched Artemis. We watched it fly around the moon.
Right.
Really,
I say
smart
no
people.
for myself, and I know several people who would also answer no, because we know we're not smart enough to do those things.
No,
right?
I'm not. And there's no shame in admitting it.
No.
All right, real quick, we only have a minute or so. The Supreme Court acted on the Voting Rights Act brought by Native American tribes on Monday, saying a closely watched ruling needs to be reconsidered after the High Court weakened the Civil Rights era law. The justices ordered lower courts to take another look at the decision that went against tribes and undercut a key enforcement mechanism, namely lawsuits from voters and advocacy groups. They've been key to enforcement, bringing most of the lawsuits filed under a provision of the Voting Rights Act known as Section 2, but in a North Dakota case brought by 2 Native American tribes, the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that only the federal government can sue to enforce the law. The decision conflicted with decades of case law. The Supreme Court blocked it in July, allowing the tribe's preferred maps to temporarily stay in place. An attorney for Native American Rights Fund, Lenny Powell, said sending the case back was the right call and vowed to keep fighting to ensure that Native voters have the ability to vote and affect change in their community, as should be the right of everybody in this country, whether your land was stolen from you or not. We should all be allowed to vote, but
just making it harder and harder for every section of the country to actually cast a vote. Because if people show up and vote, well, it's harder to win. Turns
well,
out
Jamie,
that's a flaw in
as
the
a
plan.
straight white man, I don't know what you're talking about. All my rights are perfectly ensconced. Parker, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right? After this, hey, this is some good news for Wisconsin hospitals. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
It's 8:19. I am Jamie Martinson, and you are listening to the Civic Media Network.
Remind me in our post-show meeting, I have a question about SU Need to Know. And a thought. Question first, thought second.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh my gosh. This is going to be a really long day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And fortunately, most of it's going to be spent right here in this chair.
Yeah, I still need Frank. Please send the info for our first pre-record. Why we're talking to that person. You said you had something. And we'll do more talking about the guests after. But because I don't want to give it away. I don't want to spoil it.
Right? We got some good stuff coming this week.
Yeah.
Can't give that away.
Yeah, the founder of Mug Shawties is going to be on with us. How do you guys feel about like a political commentator who's an author, appears on all the news shows, and also has a huge social media following?
Sure. I'm always down for anybody.
I don't know. I follow her on Instagram. I always listen to her rant. She's been doing it for a long time.
God,
Maybe we wait till something's coming closer. No, Frank. Not her.
Boy, I get a lot of stupid email.
Yeah, 15 seconds till we're back.
Lord.
Oh, my Lord. Here we go.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
It's 8:22 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We hope you are having a great Tuesday. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Oh, Jamie always... listen, we're having a production meeting while we're supposed to be doing the show. So
That's
pardon
all right. We'll
us.
talk about it later.
A little, sidebar, all of that. But pretty good news for Wisconsin, because Wisconsin hospitals are finally going to receive delayed reimbursement for COVID-19 response. Sure, it's a few years late, but better late than never. A federal disaster recovery program is reimbursing some Wisconsin hospitals for costs related to COVID-19 response years after the start of the pandemic. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or do you like to just call it FEMA? I do, recently announced $5.4 billion in funding awarded from its public assistance program to states, local governments, and healthcare systems across the country. Now, this is what we should be spending the money on. Not a ballroom, not redoing the reflecting pond, not some stupid arch. This is the kind of thing we need to spend our money on because, again, it is our money, right?
Yes.
Not a slush fund like we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
That's your money too, but you're never going to see anything about this. So the agency reported that $41 million went to facilities here in Wisconsin, including $20.8 million to Aurora Healthcare in eastern Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin Hospitals and Clinics in Madison received $4.8 million. And according to a FEMA press release, $2.7 million went to Ascension Southeast Wisconsin Hospital in Milwaukee. So I like to hear that.
I think it's great. I mean, especially in a time when our hospitals, especially since COVID, have been struggling, right? I mean, we've seen hospital closures through several of these different entities that you just named, especially in our rural areas. And so the fact that, maybe they're getting a little bit of needed assistance that can maybe go to something that's they've needed to upgrade or more staffing, whatever it is, just to replenish some costs that they lost during COVID. This is the right move for this particular administration. I think it's way overdue for these hospital systems, but it's a good move for the administration.
Yeah. So the grants had been awarded to cover cost of contracted medical staff, supplies, the expansion of facilities, all were around COVID-19. Aurora Healthcare didn't provide comment to WPR about their funding. A press release from FEMA said the agency conducted thorough reviews of costs claimed by the healthcare systems in order to identify duplication of benefits, specifically with patient care revenue. I just hope this isn't like the story we talked about a couple weeks ago, where all of a sudden they come back because they made a mistake. FEMA made a mistake, not because of the hospitals. And they come back and go, no, you give us all that money back, because there was a clerical error on our end and we shouldn't have sent you the money.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Yeah,
that's the way it goes.
Did. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, a lot of times our money is not spent on good things, but these hospitals, like you said, Jamie, we're seeing hospitals close all over, especially in rural areas. We're seeing staffing shortages everywhere. We are in a crisis, and you've got full areas of this state that don't have access to certain care because we've got a lot of rural areas.
Yeah.
So we got to keep getting there.
I mean, one of the things that I think we forget is what a double whammy COVID was for hospitals, right? Because their costs went way up. There was more staff, there were more supplies, there was more demand, but at the same time, their revenue dropped because surgeries had to be delayed, routine care had to be delayed, and that financial hit didn't just disappear because, things ended up opening up post-COVID. But now we're starting to see those ripple effects. And so, if access is starting to change, especially outside of our major cities, and if rural hospitals closes or cut services, that's beyond inconvenience. That means, care that you might not get, longer ambulance rides. You might not get the care at all, maybe delayed care. You've got fewer options for emergencies. And then that just starts affecting entire regions, communities, and it's not how you stay healthy, obviously, right? Like, I shouldn't have to state that, but it feels like you kind of do in this day and age, because this is the ramifications that we're seeing between our higher insurance costs and then, the hospital issues that we see time and time again. So anytime we can fund these things, I know it's hard to give this administration a win, and I'm going to assume that some of this, going back through records, that it probably happened before this administration came into effect. What I will say is that this administration doesn't always do the right thing and uses that money for something that maybe isn't necessary. They did the right thing here.
I don't know what you're talking about. Things that aren't necessary. No bid contracts that balloon in cost.
Right.
All the craziness that's going on.
Yeah.
You don't think hosting a UFC fight on the lawn of the White House is necessary, Jamie? You don't believe that a triumphant arch, much like some would say the Arc de Triomphe, or you could say the Nazi arch in Berlin, you don't think those are necessary?
I don't believe that when we are dealing with the higher costs that we are in this country, no, I don't believe right now those things are necessary.
Do you not believe then that our reflecting pool looked just boring?
I think our reflecting pool was just fine. That's what I believe.
Well, would you agree that we all need to be distracted from the fact that we're in a war? Should we not think about that? Should we not think about that people are crying on the internet because they just put $100 in their gas tank?
I believe if you have an agenda, then yes, you do need to distract people from that. But I believe that those are real issues that we're all facing, along with the healthcare situation that we've been encompassing.
You are a bummer.
I'm not fun on a Tuesday morning.
You are not fun. All these cool things that are going to be added. There's now talk of a new structure garden or a statue garden along the Potomac. Won't that be cool?
What statues are going to be in there?
Do we all know.
I mean, I'm just wondering if we've seen those reports yet. I have a pretty good guess.
It'll be great. It'll be great Americans. Maybe, yeah.
I quit being distracted by toys many, many, many years ago. So.
All right. Well, listen. Is it better to leave racists out in the open where we can see them or to shun them? We'll talk about that and how it ties to baseball after this. I'm Brian Noonan. She's Jamie Martinson. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network. All right. This is the show within a show.
Tis.
It is really cold in here today.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It must have figured out the AC.
Really cold.
But it's still muggy.
Yeah, it's very humid, but it is. We've got the air conditioner cranked up to counteract apparently, and it is really cold in here.
I'm surprised it's cold over there.
I
guess
there's got to be a vent because it's blowing right on me.
Yeah.
I don't know which one of these is a vent, but it's actually blowing right on me.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. How much time do I have, Parker?
4.
Oh my gosh.
Dumb dogs.
Did you hear? I'm watching this story. I'm watching Spectrum News right now, and there is this story from last year about a cargo plane that caught on fire on the runway. Did you see last week the story? I believe it was out of the Denver airport about the guy who walked onto the runway and got caught in the because it turns out it was a suicide. It was suicide.
Was it?
He did it on purpose. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, but there are more ways.
That's
if you feel like that is your only choice.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Like I hope that if you do, you find you have people in your life that can help you and you find proper help.
Yeah.
I have seen people in that situation. It's not good, but I feel like there are much better ways that you could. That just seems.
Yeah, I haven't looked at. I had not seen the update on that. I had seen that it happened. I hadn't seen anything.
Anytime somebody decides to take their own life, it's extreme. But at the same time, to walk onto a runway hoping you're just gonna like get caught in a plane's engine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was because that story I can't even remember. Last week was such a blur because we were in so many places.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what city we were in. I think we were in Boston when that like actually hit.
It was early in the week.
And so
probably.
we like Corey was like, because at first it was just like the plane hit a guy.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Yeah.
Like they thought it was just a guy who like was playing a prank, got onto the runway. And then as more investigation happened, it was like, oh, no. This person actually planned to do this.
Yeah.
It was crazy. God. Like, and then I just feel for his family. Like or the people at least, or friends or people who loved him, because what a horrible way to. It was, it was.
That's bad.
It was a bonker story. Oh, look at Dr. Oz on my screen, telling me about the new generic drugs added to the Trump prescription website.
Oh, I saw Marco Rubio said something about how he loves the Trump RX. I think it was Marco Rubio. Right.
I get all my drugs from Trump RX. What? Making an infomercial for drugs. Okay. We'll go that route. Mr. Plow King says his gold statue will be moved there and put next to Charlie Kirk, as we were talking about the statue garden. Yes, perhaps.
Still got a minute, Brian.
Perfect. I'm very speedy.
Did they have to eat?
He hadn't started whining, but it's It's about time for him to start whining, so I preemptively put his food down.
See, with Aspen, you can't do that because she's got to jump around and dance around and get so much love that it takes 5 times as long as it should to just.
No, Lawson barely raised his head.
You should have seen her when we came home Saturday from being gone for 7 days. You'd swear to God that we'd been gone for 8 years.
Yeah. The tail wagging that the whole butt moves.
Oh my God, she was doing butt spins and she was like bouncing off furniture and.
All right, we got 15 seconds.
Want to join in on the conversation? Call or text 855-75-CIVIC. Now back to Brian and Jamie.
It's 8:35 right now. Hopefully your day is going well. Thank you so much for joining us on the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842 is how you get involved. Well, there was an incident at a baseball game the other night, and I'm wondering if this was handled the right way. Because should we leave racist and objectionable people out in the open so they're easier to identify, or should we just push them back into the shadows where they dwelled in the past and we all knew kind of they were there, but they never came out? So the reason I'm wondering about this is the Washington Nationals, they identified and banned for at least one person because of a sign they displayed promoting white nationalist ideology during a game. So somebody brought this in, a banner, they unfolded it, the flag that promoted a white nationalist website with a message that called to, quote, save America, deport 100+ million. It was tossed over a railing for nearly a minute before security removed the flag, then the fans who were in attendance. Yeah. An usher at the game attempted to confiscate the banner, but the individuals fled the scene. Multiple reports say the investigators have identified at least one individual who has since been banned from the ballpark, while a joint effort with Metro Police is underway as a follow-up to the investigation. Now, they didn't identify this guy, the Nationals did not, but right-wing activist Jake Lang, this won't surprise you, Jamie. He was involved in the January 6th Capitol attack, for which he was pardoned, and which out of this slush fund, he might actually make some money off of that. But that's another story. He appeared to take credit for the incident on social media, mentioning the need for an escort out of the stadium. Yeah, you're lucky you made it out of the stadium. And I know we're not supposed to promote violence. Brian, that's your baser instinct. Yeah. Sometimes you're basic. And I've said this to you before. Some people have never been punched in the face, and it shows. Mm-hmm. And this guy falls into that category.
I mean, it feels you're right, because at one point, these types of acts were basically left in the shadows, but these types of things are now emboldened, right? Like they're praised by certain subsects of the internet. There's influencers who make their living basically being these people. Jake Lang, one of those people, right?
Yep.
So that's what I think worries me, because they used to be in the shadows, but they're very much commonplace now. And
Is it better for us to see them out in the light of day, though? Because they were operating under the radar. Now, the reason they're in the light of day, that's a whole other subject, mm-hmm. and it's disturbing, because I can't believe there were this many people like this that have now feel entitled to come out and spew this kind of garbage. But is it better that we see them and we know exactly where they are and who they are and can call them out, rather than have them go back into the shadows?
But I mean, I think it's better when we can call them out, but do they care? I mean, these are people who are proud, a lot of them, of these views. And I don't think they care if they're called out. I mean, if they're banned from a ballpark for life, they don't care. They did this as a statement so that whatever they thought was going to make it onto a TV camera so that millions of people potentially saw it. They don't care if they're called out. That's actually why they're doing this, because they do feel emboldened and they feel like more people need to hear this message, because if they didn't, they would stay in the shadows. We wouldn't shouldn't actually be having to have these conversations about
But then they
these
but then
groups.
they play the victim card afterwards.
Of course.
That they're being discriminated against. Oh, boo-hoo. People don't like us. Well, because you're a jerk.
What I think is interesting is I've been following some of this on social media, and the amount of people, thousands of people commenting on this who are actually defending this and saying that this is a violation of First Amendment rights.
Oh,
and
shut
ballpark
up with the First Amendment rights.
Shouldn't have the right to do this or censor these things. Are you kidding?
It's right on the Nationals website.
Right.
They have a specific policy. They have policies that prohibit signs containing derogatory content related to race, ethnicity, color, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And they also, those banners have to comply with MLB. You know all this going in. And if you don't, that's on you, because it's all in writing. Some of it's on the ticket. Some of it's on the website. You know. So this is not the First Amendment. And for all of the people who quote and cry and wrap themselves in the First Amendment, who have no idea what the First Amendment is, I have one hyphenated word for you, and it's shut up, because you have no idea what you're talking about.
I think it's always stunning that that's the argument that people make.
Free speech.
And let's be realistic. In October of last year, we saw an incident similar play out at American Family Field, where a fan was banned after that viral video, if you remember, in the Wayback Machine, of basically her threatening to call an ICE agent on a Dodgers fan during an argument. She was an attorney. She sat on the Make-A-Wish Foundation. She lost her job. She lost her position on the foundation.
I bet she wishes she had shut her mouth.
Right, and she was banned from AmFam for life as well because, again, derogatory statements. There are certain things that are free speech. There are certain things that are just go against the absolute fabric of being human.
Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences.
No.
Can we all please get that through our heads? Yes. Also, if you make some sort of scene in a place that is owned by someone else, you are in their house. You are in the Nationals building. That is, they own it. They can decide. Yes, it's private. If you came into my house and hung that banner, you don't have freedom of speech in my house. You can say it, but then you have to take the consequences of what's going to happen, and you can't complain. He stifled my speech. No.
And it's also about, it's private venue. It's about keeping the environment safe and about welcoming everyone. Let's be realistic. When you look at the makeup of a baseball team, right? You are seeing
that's
people,
problematic anyway.
You are seeing people of all colors, all backgrounds. You are seeing black people. You are seeing brown people. You are seeing Caucasian people. That is just the makeup of a baseball team. And then to go in their house to unfurl a banner like that, what did you think was going to happen? If you're these people and you saw that, what did you think was going to happen? And what I love about this is I understand that they did this because it was an audience of millions, but to me, it's a little cowardly as well, right? Because at the same time, you know you're probably going to get banned from the National Stadium, but at the same time, the people around you probably couldn't read the banner because it's right in front of them. They're not hanging over a railing essentially to read it.
And you're also lucky nobody.
The people across can't do anything about it. And by the time anybody around you realize what was on it, you're on the run. And you're running because you can't even own it. Right? So to me, it just looks cowardly when you do something like this.
Most of those actions are cowardly. What are your reactions to this? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Cowardly always seems to be an underbelly of this, because these people who make these kind of statements always they want to come off as alpha males, which is a misnomer anyway, but they always want to come off as the toughest guys. And man, they turn into crybabies faster than anybody I've ever seen. They cry about their freedom of speech. They cry because somebody hit them because they called them a name and somebody didn't, some people don't like being called certain names and they're going to punch you in the face. And you know what? You deserve it. And I know in an evolved society, that's not the answer. But again, sometimes it is the answer. Sometimes there is a point where some violence is necessary. Does that mean that guy should be murdered? Absolutely not. No. But does that mean, punch in the jaw might be warranted? If you're willing to go to jail for it, okay, that's cool.
I just worry about the people, though, who even in those instances, because I'm sure for some of these people with these types of beliefs, I'm sure that they are not. I'm sure there's been moments where people have, threatened to punch them or whatever. Maybe not all of them, but for some of them. What I worry about is it doesn't seem to deter some of them.
No,
right?
This guy has already been convicted of being an insurrectionist and storming the Capitol, and he got away with it.
There is, and I guess my brain just doesn't work like this, so I don't understand. I don't understand how you can be that emboldened by putting down somebody else because of the color of their skin.
Look at the president. Look all the way down. Bullies are bullies are bullies.
I don't even understand how that works. I'm one of the most empathetic people there is. So I will never forever understand how that works because my brain just isn't wired to be okay with putting someone else down so that I feel better about myself or because I feel like I'm superior. I don't understand it.
Fear, insecurity, an anger that you can't identify, lack of self responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. You're always what about and them, and you never take responsibility for yourself, and then you feel inferior. So you're going to find anything to make yourself feel a little bit superior, and normally it's at the expense of somebody weaker or different. And especially when there are going to be, down the road, there'll be immediate consequences. There might be small consequences, but he's already gotten away with one horrible thing. And everybody like him has seen, wow, all those insurrectionists got away and now they might get paid. Well, we can do whatever we want because down the road, I'm sure the president is going to take care of us.
Cindy from Appleton chiming in on our text line this morning saying, shun them. We should not honor any racists. Hide them away. If you do want to comment this morning, 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC.
I want to bring them out. I have to disagree with Cindy, and I get the sentiment, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know. I want to know if my neighbor, my boss, my friend, my coworker, I want to know if that's who they are.
I think, are they capable of being embarrassed? I mean, that's my question. Is there a level that they would eventually be so embarrassed they would want to hide away? Because I don't honestly know, based on what we've seen over the course of the last few years, based on incidents we've seen, incidents like this, is there a point where they do get so embarrassed or get to the point where they're like, no, this is just too much even for me, that they don't want any sort of this backlash and they do hide away, or do they literally just not care?
That would take a level of self-reflection that I don't think they're capable of.
Sure.
So I think they will stay out in public, and I think they will continue to complain, and they will continue to voice their putrid opinions and let themselves be out there because, as you said, they are emboldened now. And why change?
And I know they feel like for some of these groups, based on things I've watched and read and people who were formerly part of these types of groups, they always talk about how they felt like they were being dismissed in some way and people of a different color, different nationality were getting a leg up. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that the system is great for anybody. I mean, we have so many reforms that we need to make across the board in this country on so many different levels so that it is actually fair for everybody. But to literally think that it's because of the color of your skin that you're not getting something that somebody else is, I will never understand how that thought process even works.
Have you ever been part of drop culture? What is drop culture? We'll talk about that as we wrap things up. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
I mean, I know for a lot of these dudes, though, if you're white and a dude, you have it much better than a lot of people in this
Right
country.
on.
Even though the system still needs to be reformed in multiple ways.
Yeah, you don't hear me whining, do you?
But, at the same time, how does that make you feel better about your plight in life by saying that somebody else is worse than you? Okay. Ooh, you both have sucky lives. Good for you. What do you want me to say?
Just horrible, sad human beings.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I will forever not understand that way of thinking.
There's a lot I don't get anymore. It's just
right?
Yeah. How is this? How have we come to this? And it's easy to say, well, it was brought about by Trump, but this stuff was happening. It was allowed to be more open with Trump.
Right.
And it was celebrated more with Trump.
Yes. That's what I was just going to say. That's why I used the word embolden, because he did embolden these groups to be more vocal, to come out of the shadows, essentially. But it's always been happening. I mean, it's always been prevalent in this country. I mean,
it's happening again in the South right now.
We haven't got, it's just a different form.
Yeah.
They're talking about it as Voting Rights Act. I mean, if you're somebody who lives in the South, it looks a little bit like Jim Crow.
Yeah, just a little.
I mean, and I don't say that facetiously. If you talk to anybody of color who lives in the South, who's paying attention to what's happening, they'll describe it just as that, and they would know better than a white girl from Wisconsin. I mean,
yeah.
It's gross. We live in a really gross time.
Yes, we do.
And I think people had this delusional thought that when Biden won, those things would just go away. I think it made them fight more because they had had a taste of being emboldened, and then Biden came along and normalized things to a certain
Well, they
degree.
were also told, again, that it was stolen from them.
Yes.
So that was, it was
fought.
one more grievance to put in the pile. One more anger seed to grow and just.
And then a black woman was nominated to be president, and holy buckets. I mean, these were groups of people who lost their mind when a young, charismatic black dude won the presidency in 2008.
That was not good.
And honestly.
Well, he wasn't born here, Jamie.
Sometimes I look at the Republican Party and think that's kind of what happened, is like they lost their mind when he won, because that's when we started seeing, I mean, both parties have always had issues. It felt like the Republican Party went to a whole different extreme once Obama won the presidency.
Got about 10 seconds.
Fairly solid, better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. If you're in Hayward listening on WBZH or in La Crosse on WLCX this morning, thank you so much. It's 8:52. I'm Jamie Martinson.
Good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Have you ever been part of the drop culture, or are you standing in line for products, which is really what drop culture is when you get in line? I can't believe I'm shocked that swatches are still a thing.
Love Swatch watches.
I had so many swatches back in the day. I was like a teenage girl, and that's no shade on teenage girls. But I loved swatches because they were fun and they were inexpensive at the time, and you could match them. Because sartorial splendor is always my goal.
My aunt and uncle owned a jewelry store. My family still owns a jewelry store. So I always had access. They had the very fine jewelry, but then they had, the more fun jewelry as well.
I was going to say, swatches don't.
So
maybe in South Dakota, that's a fine jewelry.
They had a little bit of a mix. But what was always fun is, because they carried the really expensive Swatch watches as well.
Oh.
Because the Swatch also makes the very expensive, watch too, along with the fun color colorful ones. And so when those salespeople would come in, they drop a catalog on the table, right, in the jewelry store. So I'd have access. And I didn't look, I was, all of 10, 12, 13 years old. I didn't care about the fine watches. I just wanted the bright, colorful ones with the big faces and the cool bands. So that was always the section of the catalog I went to.
Yeah.
And then I always got to pick out of the catalog.
Wow. Nice flex.
Stuff. Thank you. It was exciting.
Man,
There's perks to some of these things.
That is a perk. Well, Swatch is back in the news because they had to close a bunch of stores in the U.S. They had to close a bunch of stores in Europe, not because of financial problems, but because people were losing their minds over a new pocket watch that was released the other day. 8 different pocket watches with Audemars Piguet on. They did that Saturday. So it's modeled after the Royal Oak, which typically starts at about $30,000. These are not that much. They're priced around $400 for a Swatch. Swatch's new items with Royal Peugeot, they are called the Royal Pops. And again, they start around $400. They're little, they have all different designs. So I saw footage the other day. They were cops were pepper spraying people at an East Orange, New Jersey mall. They were closing malls all over because people lost their minds.
It's like a Black Friday sale in 1999.
I know. And I'm like, I know people line up for new iPhones. And I know, like you said, they were trying to get toaster ovens back in the day. I know sneaker drops are huge, maybe not as much as they used to. But this was crazy. I'm like, what are you doing? And I looked at them because I'm like, maybe a pocket watch. I need to up my game with a pocket watch because I have a couple that I have to get repaired.
Sure.
From my dad. But I don't know, a Swatch pocket watch.
I mean, here's the thing. As you mentioned, these retail for about $400, but if you get them and you sell them on the secondhand market, like an eBay, they're selling for thousands of dollars. I mean, there are some up on eBay right now for over $4,000 or best offer. Here is my offer to you, Senator. You will get nothing.
Parker, that's a Godfather 2 reference.
I don't know if I've ever, the only thing that I can say that I've ever been part of this drop culture frenzy with is maybe concert tickets back in the day.
Yes.
Or even when they're sold online because it's an artist that maybe only tours periodically. The tickets are going to be astronomical, but you want the best seat because they might not ever tour again or they haven't been on tour for a long time. So you do the drop culture type thing where you sit online or Ticketmaster, whatever your favorite ticket site is. And, back in the day when you actually stood in line to get concert tickets as well. Maybe that was the only time, but I've never, I don't want to pay retail price. I want to pay for it cheaper when it comes out later. I'm a good coupon discount.
Yeah, I look for everything on sale if I can get it. Also, I looked at these. Listen, admittedly, I think I have aged out of the Swatch market. But even looking back, and no, Parker, you're not getting one for Christmas. But
I don't particularly like how they looked either. So
yeah, it was weird. But they follow in the footsteps of previous Swatch collaborations. I honestly didn't know anything about this. They collaborated with Omega, I know Omega watches, and Blancpain to produce bioceramic interpretations of the Speedmaster, dubbed the Moon Swatch, and 50. I almost said Filthy Fathoms. No, it's 50 Fathoms. I'm getting a new prescription before the end of the summer. So I was like, Filthy Fathoms doesn't sound like a great watch name. It sounds like a movie that I tried to watch on Cinemax back in the day.
Tried to pirate at one point.
Yeah, like, whoa, what's going on? So, yeah, 11 billion views so far on social media for this watch.
I guess
I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I don't get it.
I like if that's something that you really love, and I'll be honest, I still
but
love
they
a
don't
good
really
Swatch
love
watch.
them.
I love a good. They just want the money that you can get on the resale market. That's all they really want. I mean, unless you really, and there are some people who collect Swatch watches because they've been around for so long and they've gone through several reiterations. So maybe you just want a new one to add to your collection.
I probably should have kept mine. They'd be vintage.
Oh, yeah. Those go for big money online.
Do they really?
Etsy, eBay. Yeah,
I had
some
like
of them, if
10
they're
or
like
12.
Oh, some of them do if they're like kind of because some of the watches that Swatch made at one time, they were limited edition. Not all of them were like mass produced. So if you can get some of those with some of the original packaging, some of those are still worth a lot of money. So, yeah. I love a good Swatch
problem with
watch
everything I bought, I used. Like, I never bought anything to collect it. I bought it and I used it. So they go, oh, if you have the original packaging. I didn't have the original packaging 3 minutes after I got home. Because you know why? Because I opened this because I bought it and I put it on. Oh, you didn't save the box? No, why would I save the box?
People do that with like kids' toys and stuff,
Yes.
right? Like people now
Action figures and whatnot.
Cabbage Patch Kids, those are making a huge resale, have a huge resale market now. Like I played with my Cabbage Patch Kids. I didn't keep them in a box.
We had a Russian Cabbage Patch Kid with all the paperwork, but the box was gone. Yeah, my brother got it for Christmas. He's a weirdo. That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted for Christmas. Anyway, that's it for today. We're done. We got to get out of here. Thank you for listening and being a part of the program. We will be back with you tomorrow. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It's 8:59. Thank you for listening today. It's the Civic Media Network.
All right, live stream. That was all. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.